tame me? What could not break me to feel so alive? Overflowing elation, ready for war, ready for war, ready for war, ready for war. Hunting for food and pleasure. Viking warrior, I am the beast, rising ready for battle. I fought my best, exiled to faraway lands, shape-shifting into what is more fitting. The seas could not take break me to feel so alive. Overflowing elation, ready for war, ready for war, ready for war, ready for war. I see the barren beat, eye to eye, we become a dreaded flag, a vengeful sea. Be careful what you say. There's always someone listening. The Dutchman tossed on the sea. I swore and the devil heard me. Now we're doomed to sail the seven seas for eternity. So yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must hold. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. A sinister grin across his face said, you'll be doomed to this place. The devil heard my oath, shame of my boast. Oh, a ghostly ship from the depths, freedom from fear is the only gift of death. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must hold. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. If you cast your eyes, you'll join us like those before. We're an omen of the ocean night. When you see the flying Dutchman, it's too late for your soul. To the waters we gave now our grave. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must hold. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. my list of thoughts, watching your every move. I'm obsessed with you. Twisted thoughts erupting and slowly decaying. My jealousy, my envy is tearing me apart. A wicked man and his wicked deeds,
masquerading as a child
a
of
monster
light.
with his cruel needs, as he dances with his sick fantasy.
What is done in the dark will always be brought to light.
Slithering around the murky green swamp, voodoo priests enchanting the dance, making deals in the dark. The laughing spirits and all that they hunt. A wicked man and his wicked deeds,
Masquerading as a child
a
of light.
monster with his cruel needs, as he dances with his sick fantasy.
What is done in the dark will always be brought to light.
A foul smell in the air, oceans fill my lair, deception lurking and waiting, with envy in my eye. My spirits ascend to spy. Voodoo is the ritual, odor fills the room, smoke-stained walls, and the energy is gloom. A wicked man and his wicked deeds,
Masquerading as a child
a
of light.
monster with his cruel needs, as he dances with his sick fantasy.
What is done in the dark will always be brought to light.
Twisting the truth, for there is none in me. Weaving dark magic all through the night. Tears of envy, my jealousy ignites. Darkness encasing alive in the night. My lying tongue grows fatter with every deceitful breath. My soul is rotting and it tastes like death. A wicked man and his wicked deeds,
Masquerading as a child
a
of light.
monster with his cruel needs, as he dances with his sick fantasy.
What is done in the dark will always be brought to light.
The cloaked deceit, this is my life, I'm doomed to repeat. A treacherous heart, envy growing in me. I wish I was you, with everything that I do. A wicked man and his wicked deeds,
Masquerading as a child
a
of light.
monster with his cruel needs, as he dances with his sick fantasy.
What is done in the dark will always be brought to light.
Reaching out to the filthiest of scum, wishing I was him, not the man I become. The sickness in me, I'm a lunatic disease. Traitors and manipulators, part of my flock. We twist the truth and dance in the dark. The flames of hell are licking my feet.
Good will prevail. You will all fail.
All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. Of course, you know that's why you're here. You know who's who. And with me is Anthony. I guess he's over there. I don't know if he's got the mic on or whatever. I guess not. Got some. I don't know what's going on here. The guest is saying that he's in, but he's not in.
I'm trying to figure it out.
We're trying to figure out what's going on here. Huh. In the meantime, you know, if anybody's interested, what was that? A loud bang. Just 1 second, folks. Take me off camera for just a second. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on here. Should be a guest. He knows how to do this. He was on the other day. We sent him the link. Should be in. A lot of weird stuff happening lately. Somebody had messaged me yesterday and told me that they think that I am under a curse, that they saw it. And I said, which one? Because it's probably... Says it's asking him to use a laptop. Why would he need to use a laptop? He uses his phone.
I mean, you can do it from his phone, his laptop, whatever works.
But yeah, but he says it's asking him to do that.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know. And my shirt says, better to die standing than to live on your knees. That's a good motto. Let the whole world come against you. All you need is God. Or anything else. The true God. Let these other people have their agreed upon illusion. Well, anyways, I don't know what's going to happen. If this person can't get in, we do have a backup story that we could talk about. I mean, it's not that big a deal. We are going to start being on probably every other day, at least. Mondays, we're trying to make Monday be reserved for the interviews, but it didn't work out. Last Monday, or this past Monday, it didn't work out. I couldn't get a hold of this person. They did not get in touch with me through my regular messenger or through email. But he got in touch with me through another account, which I still don't know how he did it because I can't get into the messages on there. And it is for the, he said, drop the link in the chats. Well, then everybody will try to get in. That's the problem. Anyways, that other account, let me show you. I'll show you what it looks like in case you're interested. So you can see it. It looks like that right there. See that? That's what it looks like. It says Paranormal Roundtable. And I don't know how to check messages on there. But there is another one, too. There's 3 of them all together. And that one, I believe, this was the one that I think Nelly is running now, helping out with. The other one, there's another account we have that we can use. And it's also a Paranormal Roundtable. And it's just me going like I'm grimacing or something. I don't know. It's been around for a few years, but we don't use it much. But people keep messaging me on there. And then I have a secondary Facebook account, just a picture of me in front of banana wallpaper. And I can tell you right now, I don't even know how to get into that account. I used it during like when everybody was getting ill with the whatever it was. And so I used it because I kept getting banned on Facebook. And so I was like, what the hell? So I made a secondary Facebook account, but I don't use it much at all. So those are the accounts. The main account I have, if you want to send me a message, it looks like this. Josh Turner's got the Texas flag on there. So that's if you're looking to get in touch with me on a personal level. So, so just put it in the whatever, and I just put the link in there. I guess I don't know what else to say. Drop the PayPal link if anybody wants to donate. If you want to donate, that's fine. However you want to do it, folks. I mean, if you don't want to donate, don't donate. I mean, just whatever.
All right, Joel, go ahead and try the link that's in the chat.
I wonder why the link didn't work on his Facebook.
I have no idea.
Or maybe he could have done it through email.
I mean, the link is the same either way.
Yeah, it's the same. We'll figure it out. I'm going to get upset about it. We got enough stuff going on in this world to be worrying about. There is a lot going on. I mean, I'm telling you, man, if you watch the news, it is like a nightmare come to life. I mean, it's really bad. In the meantime, I was on last night with BMR and I guess it was Krista from Blondes and Booze and BMR. It was last night. I'm so like my mind is just, and so we ended up talking about alien abduction. So last night or today, in the middle of all the chaos that I had going on, stuff with work and talking to clients and dealing with what I had to deal with, someone messages me and says, I have a story to tell you. And we talked a little bit about the abductees last night. But yeah, those are some interesting encounters. People were asking me about them. He was in, now he's out. Frustrating.
Maybe he's having computer problems.
Maybe he's having some problems or something. I
mean, whatever you did, Joel, it worked.
It was working for a minute there, Joel. So what ended up happening? I started talking about some of the abductees and the weird things that had gone on with these people. And there he is. And so some of these people who I have talked to, they've had some really weird encounters with things. And so if you go back and you look and listen to those are just some of the people I've talked to. But a lady messaged me today, and she was just like, look, I have a story. She's like, I heard you on Blondes and Booze. I guess she's not really a fan of PRT. At least she had never watched our show. She's like, I had seen it, but she never watched it, and she told me why. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, figures. But she said she was on board. She really enjoyed the show last night. And so she sent me a book, like a whole bunch of stuff. So I have a lot to read to try to flesh out her encounters and her things that went on in her life, which started when she was 2. Now she's like me. She's 52. She's older than me, but she's had a bevy of things that have taken place. And so eventually I'm going to try and get all of that flushed out so that I can retell her encounter. I don't think she'll be able to come on and tell her encounter. She has certain reasons why. But yeah, she's not. But she had a lot of abduction. And she can maybe help shed some light on the scenario of what it is and what, to try to, because here at PRT, we don't just talk about the encounters. We try to get down to brass tacks of why, and what and who, why, what, when, where, we do all that. Thank you for that, Spilling Tea. Member for 9 months says, love you, PRT and Coalition and fam. God bless. Thank you so much. And I'm going to say something right now. And sometimes, and if you're not a Christian, I get it. If you don't want to be a part of that, that's completely okay. I'm not upset with you at all. But I want to begin our show with a prayer because there's been so much going on. So much darkness has been hitting us and the world that I think we should say a quick prayer just to get started here. All right. Now, this isn't something we do every time or every day. And this isn't a show for anything that's going on. This is just something that I think needs to happen because everything that's going on. All right. I'm going to bow my head in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I pray in the name of Jesus. I come unto you as a sinner. I've committed many sins, and please forgive me for these sins. Thank you for your blessings upon me. Thank you for allowing me to be alive. Thank you for my good health and my freedom. Please allow us to keep these things the rest of our lives, Lord God. I ask you to heal the hearts, minds, and souls of the people involved in all the conflicts and situations that are going on, not just in our community, but in the world. Please heal my city for the evil that has befallen it. Please remove these evil leaders that have taken over this world. And please replace them with good, godly, God-fearing people who pray unto you in the name of Christ. We ask these things in the name of Christ, and things are done according to your will. May your will and law be done. Amen. In Jesus' name. Forgive us for our sins. Amen. Just think that needed to be said. Like I said, if you're not a Christian, if you're Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever, you don't have to be offended by it. It's just something that I felt like we needed to do because of what's been going on. And I'm going to be the first to admit that I am not perfect. And I spent part of my day cussing. And I shouldn't have. No matter how mad I got, I should not have been cussing. And I cussed about several situations that have been going on in my life. Like one of my old friends says, you've been snake bit. It's like you've been snake bit. Well, when the devil snake bites you, what do? You bite back, you use Christ, and you get yourself back on track. Right? Hopefully these people will have a change of heart and things will work out and people will leave people alone. God knows I'm ready to. But let's bring on our guest here. Joel Burgess. Hey, Joel.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Joel. I can hear you.
Yeah, we had I don't know what happened with the link previous, but it's worked through this anyway. But yeah, I'm just listening to what you were saying there, Wolf, and that, Josh, and that. I agree totally on that. There's a lot of strange things been going on in Will lately.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of bad luck, and this is going to lead into tonight. When I explain, I mean, we started off from 2nd of June last year, so it was around this time last year. All these encounters were happening. Now it's my wife's birthday tomorrow, and it were this day, 10th. We're on 10th now. Obviously, there's time differences because obviously I'm in UK.
Mm-hmm.
I was out doing some video footage with Paul and Les up at Danes Dyke, and I left my wife and kids. I'm in my camper van now, and I do a lot of camp. I go all over the place. I go everywhere. I can't keep still. It's just how I am and that. But this particular day, it was red hot. It was sunny and that lovely day. I left my wife and kids. I says that I'm gonna go with Paul and Les, and he says that you don't mind and that, Julie, do you? You know, we'll take Joel. We're gonna do some filming. We're back in a bit. We were out for about an hour. I gets back, and I've got 2 twin daughters and that. They're called Avery and Lily, and they're 11-year-old now. So they've been like 9, 10-year-old. Well, 10-year-old, isn't it? Because it was last year. They says to me, Daddy, there's a woman in bushes and that. this I sent you- I don't know if you've seen them, but I posted some pictures and things and that, Josh and that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's these. We'll get into it, but it's to do with feathers in a stone.
Yeah, you sent me some videos of some interesting things.
Well, talking to Paul, because I tell Paul about it, he says, well, because the most strangest things have been happening since this encounter. And what happened was, it was called, we're jumping about here. Let me build it into this day anyway. I comes back from filming with Paul and Les for Wolflands 2. Because he's on with making it took him 3 years to make Wolflands 1 and that. Now he's on with Wolflands 2. And I gets back and they're like, there's a woman in bushes and that, Daddy. And she's got this black robe on and that, like a Sith Lord or something like that. You know,
Where was this at?
This is in woods, you know them pictures I sent you with that tree with feathers on.
Yeah, but like what part of England? Where at?
It's Bridlington and it's on east coast of Yorkshire. Just looking out of
Yeah, I'm having a hard
Sea.
time hearing you. That's why I'm like, I don't think I can hear you very well. Can y'all hear Joel? It's kind of quiet.
Am I coming through clearly or?
You're coming through clearly, but it's not very loud. That's why.
Yeah, I think what it is it's absolutely banging it down with rain, and I've got a bit of bad signal with my internet at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously this time of year it should be red hot light for us, but it's been absolutely pants. It's just raining on constantly. It's terrible. It should be blazing sunshine. But yeah, anyway, I gets back and daughters and my missus and that says, oh, there's a woman in here, so they went, come and have a look, Daddy, and that. So we went round and that, and she's in them pictures where you see me walking into bushes. She was in there, and she got like a tent up, and this black robe, and she got candles burning, and there were these feathers in stones, and she got you know, we call them Josh sticks in England and that.
Josh sticks.
Like they're like how can I describe it? A scent
like
stick
sticks
thing,
made of Josh.
Yeah. And she were burning them like scents. They've got scents, you know, like lavender and things like that come off them and stuff like that. So the shows me, and she looked round and she looked at us, and I think we disturbed her in the middle of whatever she were doing. And I says to the kids and that, and my wife and that, I says, look, come on, let's leave it alone and that, you know, let's not thinking no about it and all that. And but obviously I'd had an encounter before this, and that come from 2nd of June, and this is like on 10th of July that I'm referring to now.
So you had one recently. You had an encounter with one of these creatures in June.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Because I have to ask this. This is a picture of your back that you sent me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if y'all can see that. Well,
I've
what
got
in the
loads of
heck? It looks like
scratches on my back,
scratch
haven't I?
marks. What scratched you on that part of your back right there?
I don't know. I woke up like that, Josh.
Is there a way to put this up there?
And I don't know if you can see it, but
You can do
above
it after
where I've been scratched,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a tattoo, angel wings, and Bible.
Yeah.
And them scratches are just below it.
They look horrible.
I mean, it looks shoulder there.
Yeah.
So I've got that's my cat badge. From I were in obviously in Royal Logistics and that. It's my lucky horseshoe and that Yorkshire Roses and that. And I've got my Celtic band because I'm a Celtic warrior,
Yeah.
and I've got that on my shoulder. But there were scratches more than that, and I don't know if it was something, you know, because it's something to do with God and things like that. Because I believe in God and Jesus and things like that. You know what I mean? He's guided me through. That's why I'm still alive. You know what I mean? And But yeah, the strange things, lights coming on. I've seen shadow. I think I was on. It was a bit back. It was last, I'd say, a good 6 months ago. And Paul Sinclair had a guy called Nathaniel. He's from US, and I put in chats and that, questions, because it does it on a Sunday night. It's like Q&As and things, like live interactive and that. And I asked him, what's these feathers mean in a stone, and they set up, and I explained, like what I'm telling you now and that. He says, I think you've got an hitchhiker. And it's followed me back, because I'm not. The amount of bad luck that me and my wife's had is unreal over the last 12 months. Since all this has started, from this first encounter, 2nd of June last year, where I felt like a pull on my shoulder, on my left shoulder, and that's where it scratches were, and things like that. I heard this voice that says, come over here, and that. And I looked round, and there were no there. And so I jumped in back of my van and that. I was taking all my bergen off and my webbing, my army gear and things, because I've gone full-blown wild camping and that. Parked my van in car park, and I buggered off into woods and that out of way. And it's all started from there. But this is where it's got crazy, and this is the bit that I'm getting into now, is this. I think she must be a witch or something, Josh, and that. I'm telling you, she's got a black robe on. She's doing all these things and that. And them pictures that I sent you, with them feathers and that, under that tree. Well, I went out the other day and I posted
you found these feathers under a tree when you were with your wife?
Yeah. Well, this person, this woman, it was a woman, and she was dressed in a black robe and that, and she's placed them all there. She was under this tree. She's got a tent set up. In fact, where is it? I showed you an illustration of a day of what I'd seen and that encounter. I draw all sorts of things and that, you know what I mean? It's on it with, a picture says 1,000 words, doesn't it, sort of thing. Where is it? It's best that's best I could do, right? But if you can see that, that's tent, and that's woman there, and she's like crouched down and doing some kind of seance thing, and there's candles around her and things and all that, and that's a tree there, and she's in bushes, and that's how we were like spying in through her and that.
Y'all were watching her do this.
And I says to him, I says, come on, leave her alone and that, to my wife and kids and that. And they're going, yeah, but Daddy, what's she doing? I says, I don't know. I says, come on, just leave her and that. She's up to something like that. And things started getting weird after that. So I phones Paul up. I says, Paul, that day when I met you and Les and we did that filming, I says, what day was it? He says, oh, it was 10th and that. I says, I thought it was and that, because it was the day before my wife's birthday, because it's a birthday tomorrow. She's 51 tomorrow. And I says to him, I says, when we come back and that? He says, yeah. I says,
do this real quick.
My wife and kids said that this woman in bushes and that. He says, oh, yeah, I can remember you telling me about it and this, that, other and that. I went, what strangest things happened and that. And these feathers have appeared. Like where I live, there's like, when I go north, like where my house is, it's facing east out at front door. So when I head north and I go to local shop and things and that, there's like a pathway thing, if you know what I mean. It's like a little ginnel thing and that, if you know what I mean. And I go to the shop and then on my way, but this is, and this happened on 29th of December last year, right? I comes back and there's a feather in a stone, and I've got him in house in kitchen because I don't know what to do with him, Josh, and that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I saw the
since
picture.
all this has happened, I've had the most bad luck you could possibly imagine. It's destroying his life and that. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's crazy, crazy.
So your accent is, even though it's English, is very thick and it's kind of hard to follow a little bit. I know people have kind of
It's got
messaged
some
me.
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire, so you have a certain accent. But so what I'm gathering though, because I'm understanding you, but I don't know if everybody can. What I'm gathering is that you and your wife were in the woods, and you
Yeah,
guys came across a woman who was sitting in between a tent and a tree, and she had candles around her, and she was performing some sort of ceremony,
yeah, correct.
and she left something there behind,
Yeah.
right? And then you guys picked it up.
No, what happened was is I spoke to Paul about it, and he's got a friend. He's called the Reverend, and he was like a moderator on Paul's channel.
Uh-huh.
And we were discussing it, and he suggested that I went and make an offering and put acorns under the tree. So I went and did that, and I put acorns under, and I says I respect the ancient because there's Bronze Age and Neolithic burial grounds up there. Do you know what I mean? It's like an ancient burial grounds all up there and that. So there's lots of crazy things go off up there and that crazy stuff.
These woods that you found this in, do you go into those woods quite regularly? Is this like a regular thing you do, or is
Yeah,
this
yeah,
just...
yeah, yeah. But I'm not going no more. I'm not going
I
ever
would
again.
say so. I'd say that'd be pretty much it for me. So I've heard this before though, like people are out in the woods, and they come across someone or something doing something. The funny thing is, I've actually had people tell me that they have been in the woods in England too. And I've talked to a few of these cases with Paul. We've gone back and forth with cases, but that people will see what looks like somebody, like maybe even in mid transformation, like doing
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. But what I saw, it didn't look solid, Josh. You know what I mean? You know, when I was
Yeah.
telling you the other day, and I said, I'm going to run it over and that, because my van won't start. So, look, if it don't move out of the way, I'm going to run it over. But it didn't look solid. It was like see-through, if you know, like smoky. You know what I mean? But I could blatantly see its yellow eyes and that. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Wow.
And I just thought, look, if you do it, I'm just going to floor it and I'll run you over and that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah. Last time you were on the show on Saturday,
yeah,
yeah, and we were talking about you, and I made the statement that you
it
should
was
have just
just
ran
right
it
off
over.
fight, if you know what I mean. I just thought,
Mhm.
look, because it was like 3.5 hours. It was crazy, weird that night. I don't know if, because like as I've researched into it and that, and I sent you some videos and that, and I've got this silly hat with ears on and that. It's like a leopard head thing and that. And I'm going, oh, I thought if I put this on, it might not, Skinwalker might not get me and that. Well, apparently, if you mock the power and that, they get
Yeah.
you and that, innit? You know what I mean? And I think I've wound it up a bit and that with this witch thing and that. But I think that's more weirdest bit about it is this witch thing or whatever it was or whoever it was. They look like some kind of witch thing with black robe on thing and that with hood up and all that. With
Yeah.
candles going and burning things and that going, making chants and all that. And she looked at us, you know what I mean? And then this is what I'm saying, because like I phoned Paul and I says, hey, look, Paul. I says, you know, them pictures what I sent you, right, Josh, and them videos, right? I says to Paul, I says, you know, them feathers in them stones and that. Yeah, I went, there's only one just turned up on bloody pathway and that on my way back home from the show. And this was on 29th of December that's just gone. He was like, oh, bloody hell. He says, do you think somebody's messing about me? I said, well, there's only you and me and that knows and that. That's that. I says, nobody else knows about it. I says, I've not said no, innit? He says, well, if we're up at Dane's Dyke, I could understand it. He says, but that's weird, that, mate. Anyway, a week later, at bottom. This is at top of street. Then at bottom of street, we've been downtown, done a bit of shopping. Comes back, me and my wife and kids and that. There's only one at bottom of street. I've got both of them in kitchen and that. And I was talking to kids overnight, right? And I've seen it out my own eyes and that. And kids have seen it. They turn round and move and that on their own. And the crafts like that. And it's like a white chalk pebble with an hole in and feathers stuck in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw the pictures. So, and just to give people an idea where Yorkshire is, it's in northeastern England.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm on edge at North Sea. No,
Yeah.
it's about what, maybe, I don't know, 220 miles to Amsterdam from where I live.
Yeah, and York is the largest city in that area. I know York because that is where Braveheart sacked.
Yeah,
He
well,
sacked the
it's
city
got
of
a lot
York.
of Viking history and that in York and that.
For
And
sure.
yeah, it was
William
a big
Wallace
Viking
and-
place, York. I'd say it's about it's about 44, 45 miles from where I live to York.
Yeah, and then the next
England.
biggest city down is Manchester, and
Manchester's that's on west coast from me. That's
very harsh. Somebody said that very harsh accent too. Hard to understand a little bit.
I'm sorry, I do apologize.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's just different types of whatever. The interesting thing about where you're at, though, and what you're talking about is the Moors are right there. I think around.
Yeah, that's correct. They're not far away, Moors and that. And there's a lot of crazy things that happen up there. And there's a place called Dolby Forest that's not far as well. And there's all up this east coast of Yorkshire, as far as Petershead in Scotland, Josh, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of strange things that goes on to do with UFOs, paranormal, like dogmen, werewolves, whatever you want to call them, skinwalkers. I think what I've encountered is a shapeshifter. Because what I've looked into, I found out, I mean, you can have a look into it yourself, but it goes back to a Welsh myth or something, whatever you want to call it. She's called Ceridwen. And she's a Welsh lunar deity goddess.
It goes back to the Picts. It's so far back. The story you're talking
apparently
about.
There were giants. Aaron is called Aaron, and he's the like, he's got like hounds, wolves, dogmen or something. You know, he comes and gets your soul. If you fail her, he comes and gets your soul. Like Nibiru, Nubius or whatever it's called.
Yeah, they actually tend to be a type of witch, but it's akin to a fairy, but it also can shapeshift into a black dog or like
that's
a
right.
horse that'll take you into the water and drown you. There's a lot of different types of incarnations of this. Like I said, it goes back even before the Celts, you know. And what's crazy is when you get the Saxon influence. When William the Conqueror, when he came and he spread the Norman influence, then you had this influx of like Germanic / which was the Saxons, and they were defeated by the Normans.
You're right.
All of it came together, and you had these weird sort of a Baba Yaga mixed with what the Celts looked at as a witch deity from the Picts, and then it was all kind of jumbled together. It all does the same thing, though.
I think I watched it after and that, because it was late on and that. You were on Blondes and Booze, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Boudicca.
Oh, Queen Boudica, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been right around that area, yeah.
She was ruthless there. And this is like relating into what you're on about. You bang out money on it and that, because this is like through Bronze Age area and that. These burial mounds that are up there, these are like Neolithic to Bronze Age. So like you talk, because there's a lot of, I find flints and that, you know, it's been napped and things and all sorts of stuff and that. You know, I go around with me multimeter, which is, it's a military one. It's from NATO. Compliments to NATO.
NATO, small arms pact. Yeah.
It's not a little
How
thing.
versed are
It's
you in
massive. It's
Warsaw?
like a bloody suitcase, mate. It's huge.
Yeah. How versed are you in the Warsaw Small Arms Pact, though? That's
But
the real
I'm
question.
finding EMFs all over the bloody place up there in certain areas
Yeah.
around certain points and that. But when you look at a geological map of where I am situated, it all East Coast runs all the way down, and it's connected to Cliffs of Dover. You know, White Cliffs of Dover. So all that runs down, and that's like what they say, Younger Dryas period and that.
Oh yeah.
Because there's like Jurassic and all sorts, different areas and that. Like as you're going over to Birmingham, so as you go further west, you get like Jurassic and things like that and stuff.
I got a
So
question for you because we were talking about this and somebody mentioned Old Shuck. Now, this ties into so many things, what you're talking about. And I want to explain this to the audience before we go too far away. This what could be a witch, right?
yeah,
Practicing black magic, but there's a lot of different types of magic that can be going on in that area. And now Ridge Runner just made a good point, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I wanted to ask you this. Have you ever heard of a creature that we know in Spanish as the cadejo? The cadejo is like black shuck. It's really just shuck is what it is with a different name. And a supposed curandela, it can pretend like it's a good witch, but really it's a black witch, a dark witch. And they will pretend to be healers and they'll suck you in. And then what happens is they'll ask for payment of some kind. And then if you don't deliver, then this becomes a brujeria, like a bruja, a black
yeah.
witch. And then they
Well,
send old Shuck after you and it will kill you.
yeah. Well, I do exactly know what you're on about, Josh, and that because my mum was Spanish and that. My dad's English, mum was Spanish and that. So, I do. I've heard of these kind of things because of gypsies and things,
Mhm.
Spanish gypsies and that. And they
So are
tend,
you part gypsy?
well, I'm not part gypsy, no, but I've, with my mum's side of family, they were Estebes from Costa del Sol
Okay.
in Spain and that.
Because you do
And
look
that's
like you might be Basque. You kind of look like you might be Basque. I thought maybe you were
no, I'm English and Spanish.
Spanish. Yeah.
Spanish. So, but yeah, I know what you're on about in that. I've heard similar things in that because I've heard tales. She would call me great grandma senior Estebi.
Mhm.
And she only tiny lady and that. And she used to stick me on her knee and that. And she was telling me stories about um, these gypsies and that. They put certain spells on you and things like that. And they pretend to be nice, but they're not. So to beware, and that's what she was telling me. So I suppose, yeah, that's
And
relates
in
to what you're
England,
saying.
they're called travelers. What people don't realize, though, is they all originally come from the same place. The difference is that by the further west the gypsies traveled, the more Anglo blood or Germanic or Celtic blood that they absorbed,
Mm.
and the more white they became, to the point where by the time they crossed the English Channel, they looked like you couldn't tell them from the local population. And of course, like I said before, you can trace the roots of most of what they call the Roma people all the way back to the port of Gutra, which was established by Alexander's descendants. He himself did not reach that far. Now, somebody pointed that out on the show the other day. I have a very clever audience, and if you miss something, they always notice it. But like I said, it wasn't him. It was the Ptolemaic incursion that was a peaceful incursion into India, and it was through his colleagues, in particular one named Porus, who opened up those ports, and that was the fourth library of Alexander. The two were sacked. One was sacked under the Mongols. Another one was sacked under the oh gosh, don't tell me. The one was burned by the Romans. That was the big one in Egypt.
Yeah,
The other one
is
was
that
the Moguls. The Moguls sacked it and destroyed it. Some say it was Tamerlane. Either way, it was destroyed and burned, and the scrolls were scattered to the four winds. And the last was in Gujarat, And of course, the gypsies carried the knowledge out of there. It is supposedly that the myth is that the gypsies worked there for 40 years. I'm sorry, 4 generations of 40 years each, which would have been
Right,
literally,
yeah.
yeah, 160 years that they cultivated the knowledge before they set about. And their whole thing was not just to be nomadic and live free. People make that mistake. If you embed yourself within their culture, it's a very closed culture, much like the Amish. And I have spent a lot of time with gypsies, working alongside some of them where they lived and getting a lot of information from them and a couple different occasions. And if you get to know them and you know a little bit about their culture and they let you a little peek inside, you'll learn that they actually, the whole point was for them to create more of themselves. And eventually they were to spread their beliefs
Yeah, yeah.
and spread it throughout the world, and eventually encompass the world with their heritage and their beliefs and instill their bloodline within everyone to enlighten them. It's very weird. Some of them even claim a lineage connected to the Illuminati, which wouldn't be far from the truth because you would need nomadic people who would blend in and no one would suspect, because you
Yeah.
wouldn't suspect them as having an agenda, but they do. They really do. And so one of the things that they do is by not taking on an official role in any real official capacity, they don't lay down roots anywhere. And so they are rootless, so they can move in and out of people's societies and be here one day and gone the next.
Yeah.
And then they transfer their bloodline to people that they breed with, and it just keeps going. And this is one of the things that I was told was a cornerstone of their beliefs. It is kind of odd to us to think of people being rootless and not really wanting to assimilate, but that's very much that's what their thing is. And a
Yeah.
lot of people have said that about other cultures. The Comanches were very nomadic, the Cossacks, the Jewish people, they're all very nomadic people. Certain Bedouins of the Arabs and Berbers, they're nomadic, but they all have a belief system and they spread it out throughout the world. And they all have a type of magic, every one of them, that they hold on to. Now, I believe personally that magic is something is like it's akin to science that we have not figured out. But there are people who have, and I think, like I've said before, there are people who have the cheat codes. And I think that the gypsies definitely do. The travelers, once they got to England, they set up shop in various places in between York, and what we were talking,
Yorkshire.
Manchester, yeah,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
outside
Yorkshire.
Manchester in the hills
Well,
there.
Manchester comes under, that's like West Midlands,
Mhm.
because that's like West Coast at UK, Manchester. So you've got Manchester,
What are the
Liverpool.
odds that maybe those people could be responsible for the dogman sightings? I've had a lot of people tell me.
Possibly, yeah, because
Yeah.
as you look out to sea, that's like from West Coast at UK, that's Atlantic. So you've got Isle of Man and then Ireland and that, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that come out of Ireland. And that what I mentioned about Cerridwen and Arran and that, they apparently arose from a lake in Ireland from Giant's Causeway or near Giant's Causeway, and there were giants, and they got run out. Irish run them out of Ireland apparently, and they ended up going to Wales,
Mhm.
which is on the west coast of England. But Wales, we've got England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and that. Even though that's why we United Kingdom. There's four parts of United Kingdom. And Wales is its own separate country, but it's obviously on UK part. We're all together. You know what I mean? We're all one. And apparently, I forgot his name. He was a king or something like that that were ruling Wales at the time. I forgot his name now. And he gave them safe passage, and he allowed them to stay there. And this is how it comes into this Welsh mythological, whatever you want to call it, and that we carried in and having and that is this lunar. She rules a new moon or something like that, and she can shapeshift into anything she wants. There's a story to it. She's the keeper of the cauldron of the forest, and that she's the mother of fertility and the keeper of the forest and the cauldron, like I said. You know what I mean? So have a look into it and see what you think, and that. Because what I would like to know, if I know your audience are very clever people, does anybody know what these feathers in a stone actually means? What I need to know, because I don't know what I've got in my house and I don't know what to do, and I'm getting lots and lots of bad luck, mate. You know what I mean?
Do you want to show the people the picture of the
Yeah, if you've got pictures, you want to show them and that, yeah.
Let's see. Let's see if
I went back up recently and they've cut one of the trees down at back in it. I'm sure, I don't know if it's a birch tree we're under. I think it's a birch tree.
So here's one of them that you sent me. I don't know if y'all can see it. There you go. Focus it in.
Yeah, that's the one that I've got in the house, and that's on.
So it's like a flat stone. It's like a flat stone, and there's a feather inside of the stone.
Yeah, it's like poked through it, innit, Josh?
Yeah.
It's solid as well, you know what I mean? It's like really wedged into it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a seagull feather or something like that.
I don't know what kind of it is. I mean,
well, we've got a lot of seagulls around here and that. But what I have got, it was making a racket earlier and that, and there's a crow that follows me about everywhere. Everywhere I go, every morning it's there going rah, rah, and wherever I go, it follows me, and I know it's that same crow because it's got white spots on it. And normally they're just black, plain black, aren't they? But this has got like white patches on it, and it follows me everywhere. And that I feed it and things like that. But I've seen it when I first saw it. It was up at Dane's Dyke when that witch was there and thing. Well, it was another day after that. I think I went back up. I took my multimeter and I made an offering under the tree where these feathers were. I took a reading to start with, and it was like there wasn't much there in that. So I put some acorns down. I went there. I'm making an offering, and I would respect forest and ancient ones and this sort of, you know, like said a little prayer thing and that. And I stuck my probes back in, and multimeter just went off at scale, mate. It just went off at scale. And ever since that, I've had no but bad luck.
Depending on the color of the feather, it can mean not good luck, but it can mean it's a healing. They do a healing. But that's
they're like black and white feathers, aren't they? They're like black and white.
Mm-hmm. Depends on the person and the intent. Was the feather standing up and down, or was it laying down?
Just stood up, like if you can imagine it. They're like in pebble and stuck up like that, and they were placed around a tree. But these what I've found. I mean, this is what I can't work out, mate. How the hell have they appeared? I mean, it's what? It's over 2 miles or more to Dane's Dyke from here. Do you know what I mean? So how the hell they've got from there to there? I don't know. This is what I'm saying. You know, something crazy has been going on. I've had scratches on my back, lights turning on when they turned off.
The tip is white too.
Shadow people and things and that. My missus, she's had scratches. She's been pushed off her and things when we've been up there. My kids are scared to death. I promised my kids and that. I'm not going to go back up there again. Like, Daddy, please don't go there again. And that. I won't.
Is this the spot where the witch was at?
You what, mate?
Like, was this the same spot where the woman was in between the tent and the picture you drew?
Yeah.
And you saw this there and you took it.
No, I haven't took the feathers. What I did was I got some acorns, and it was on Paul's Sinclair's channel, Truth Proof. It says maybe give an offering and put acorns down under the tree and make an offering that you respect. ancient ones and forests and all
It's
that.
a
So
wood,
I've done
it's a
all
wood
that.
spirit, then more than likely that's what that is.
But she obviously she wasn't there that day when I've done this and made this offering. But that's when I was saying that I'll have to find video for you and I'll send it you, and you can see what I'm making me offering and that, and testing it with multimeter to start with, make me offering, and then I test it with multimeter and it just goes off at scale. It just everything changed and that, and you know what I mean. It all changed. It felt weird. I felt absolutely drained and knackered after that. You can see it on my face and that after the end of the video and that I just looked drained. I'm like, you know what I mean? It just took all my energy out of me. I said, go on to my wife and that. I said, go on, we'll go in and that. So I need to go. It's one of them things, you know what I mean?
So if I had to put my finger on what it was that you were looking at and what you were dealing with, you know,
Do you
there's
think
no
it's black magic or something like that?
magic, but it goes back to Celtic practices of.
Yeah, I think it's Celtic,
Yeah,
definitely.
it is. And in knocking on wood was to invoke the wood spirits, and they were to offer healing. And so when
Yeah,
you sit there and you would sit at the base of a tree, you would wait for a knock. Typically, literally, that's what they do, and they wait for a knock to happen. The knock may come, it may not. It just depends. But it's sort of a knock that you may hear, a physical knock, like if someone else is around, they may hear it, or it might be something inside of you. When someone does this, though, and they give this supplication to these wood spirits, the green man, as they call him the green man. That's what he's called.
yeah,
And whenever he offers that to you, he will give a knock, like bang, bang, and
yeah,
knocking on wood is a good luck. So when you hear this, you respond with the knocking, and you use the feather. The feather and the stone typically would be face up. It stays face up if the offering is accepted, and it goes down if it's not. Now, I'm not saying I know everything about this, but this is just what I've read and what I know, a little
yeah.
bit.
Well, this is what I've been trying to find out, Josh. I just want to understand it, if you know what I mean. It's baffled me.
I would be very careful with something like that. And if I were you, I would not have touched anything I found out in the woods that looks like it could have been left there by man. One of the things people that practice dark magic do when a spirit, now folks, I'm going to tell you this, and this is going to be very important, right? If you come across something in the woods or somewhere where you're out and about, I'm going to caution you. If you see something, don't let your kids run out ahead of you and go, "Oh, look, mommy, daddy, look, something's cool. I found this on the ground," because they will bind spirits and things to objects, and something that they have gotten themselves into trouble with, they have to give that spirit, or that demon is what it really is, an out. Now, what that means is they give it to, and they put it to an object, and it waits there with that object until the next person comes along. Then it hitches a ride on them.
I
And it's
think
a way of
that's
passing
what I
the
was told. I've picked an hitchhiker up or something like that.
yeah. So you feel like you've picked something up from this.
Yeah, the amount of bad luck we've had since all this has happened,
Oh,
right, is
I've
unreal.
had a lot of it too. Let's not cross. Let's not get our wires crossed, because I don't need more bad luck than I've got already. It's
Yeah,
just
well,
a lot.
listen, mate, I've got to move out my house on 22nd of July and that. I'm moving from Bridlington back to Doncaster from where I'm originally from, so I'm going back inland and that. It's just been a nightmare and that. Oh God, I could go on forever and that. It's just been a nightmare. The amount of bad luck. We've been ill health, I don't, just since all that happened with them feathers appearing since 29th of December. Me and kids and my wife and that have been poorly, and we're only just starting to get better now.
So let me ask you a question about the encounters. But before I do, does everybody in the audience understand what the UK is? Because a lot of people really don't know geography. They don't know like the map and stuff. So I can explain it to you pretty quickly. If everybody understands, we'll move on. But if there's people that don't
I was
grasp,
just looking. I don't know if I've got a map somewhere.
I can explain it real quickly. If there's anybody that doesn't know what the UK what that is, what countries they are, the United Kingdom, yeah. what the United Kingdom is England, which is basically the main country. It also consists of Wales, which became a country in the 1280s. I think they were conquered in 1283. I might not.
Something like that, yeah.
And then Northern Ireland, and then Scotland. Okay. And around the same time, Scotland, I think, capitulated in 13. Oh, you know what? I want to look
1380 or something like that, I think.
13, okay. And then Northern Ireland was the most recent acquisition. Now, Ireland is still not part of.
The thing is, though, you've got Northern Ireland.
Yeah, it's not part of.
And then there's Southern Ireland and that, which it's the different, the total, like Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland don't really actually come under UK sort of thing. It's weird. I don't know. You know what I mean? But then you've got Isle of Man as well in between all that. But yeah, you're right. Well, and that, Josh, and that. Scotland's its own independent country.
Still part.
It goes back to Roman periods, like how you're going about the Romans and that. There were one thing that they couldn't conquer. That's why they built what we call Adrian's Wall.
Adrian's Wall. Yeah.
Yeah. They just said, look, the too barbaric.
Yeah, they're too unconquerable. Well, you know, I mean, that was the thing. You know, the King of England was it Edward Longshanks. He said he's like, the problem with Scotland is it's full of Scots, and he wanted to get rid of them because they were so volatile. And of course,
we Jimmy, you're Scottish, we Jimmy.
and my friends from Scotland, if you get around them, you'll know that they're probably still not conquered. They're very.
I've got family I've got Scottish family, Spanish family. I've got people from Italy that's in family, Africa. One of my uncles already is from Gambia. You know, I've got family from all over the place, but yeah. But I'll give you this, right? I'll tell you this, right? As much as people go, you know, take mick and that out of English, Irish, and Scots and all, well, the Scots and all that, and they're good people. I've got some good mates in Ireland. I've got some good mates in Scotland. I've got some good mates in Wales. I've got a lot of good friends in England. And when I was in army, serving in army and that, we've all worked together. And you know, some of the most loveliest people I've ever met. And I still talk to them to this day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of Scottish people get along very well with the English from the north, because the English from the north were a different type of people. They were very close.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know,
it's like Newcastle and that. There we call them Geordies. You know what I mean? I'm called a Cockney Yorkie because I'm like from South Yorkshire originally, so I'm near like to London, like Cambridgeshire and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas as you like where I'm living now, I'm like further up to north coast.
They all used to be different countries, like Northumbria, and Yorkshire, and all different countries. Really, they weren't. England was a region, and it was originally called Albion, and then it became England, and then England, because Albion was the original Gaelic name for it. And England.
Yeah, well, that's it. Irish and Scots, they used to speak Gaelic and that. And if you go, I mean, I suppose it would be going back before 12th century or something like that. Definitely, well, before, like when Roman time was and that, like you just said now, Josh, right? England won't. Like all counties they are called down, and towns and cities and all this what we've got now. We don't like that before. They were like you said, it were like islands. Because it was a lot of marshland and that. It was only until like in 18th century when Dutch come over and they put all drain systems in and that and drained some land off and that. You know, because it was like marshland and that. You know what I mean? Like little like island things, you know what I mean? This is like around Boudica, like Bronze Age period and things like that, Saxon and all that kind of stuff.
And the Dutch were very closely.
There's a lot of history. There's a lot of history to our country. Like it's a fantastic place, but it rains a lot.
Yeah. And you know, if you look at the history of England, it's a very, very interesting history. It goes way back.
Mm.
And if you go back and then of course Wales, they have their own and Wales continued to have kings, but they did not have the power once England conquered them. And then of course whoever was the heir to the throne was called the Prince of Wales. And so they would be looked at as,
well,
you know,
he's now been crowned king, hasn't he? King Charles. He was Prince of Wales
Prince
and
of
that.
Wales. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
kind
not
of
over keen. I'm not over keen on him and that. I mean, I served and worked for Queen Elizabeth II and that, but Charles, I just think is. I'm not. We're not. Let's not go there anyway.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
King Edward was another very interesting figure. If you look at you know, when the one King Edward was he the third?
Third.
The third, yeah.
Edward III, wasn't it? I
He
think.
was a very interesting figure too. You have a lot of like very interesting, you know, people that you know, it just there's a lot of history there. One thing that I can say though, somebody mentioned the Moors National Park. Now that's a very interesting place because I have stories from there, and I know Paul does. That people
I've been there, right? It's
well, you know, the American Werewolf in London is based on eyewitness accounts.
that's where they filmed it in that area, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm saying like that.
And people think that, well, there's a school of thought, and I've actually talked to Garitano about this as another filmmaker, and we've kind of bounced back and forth. I believe it was him. That after that's when a lot of the sightings spiked about werewolves. But I disagree because some of these sightings go back long before American Werewolf in London. And oddly enough, I was going to wear my shirt, my American Werewolf in London shirt tonight, but I decided to go with this. I should have worn. I kicked myself because it would have been a good night to wear that. But I got a question for you. Have you had your encounters now? You've had how many? 3 with these?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about one on Saturday, but let's get back into that one and then let's lead into the others. But I have a question for you. Did you ever have anything happen in the Moors, the national park there?
I've not actually ever any encounter. It's been through daytime when I've been in Moors. I've not actually camped out there. We've just been out for the day. I went with a couple of my mates and that, and there's like some little ravines, like rivers, and we've got some kayaks, so we went down them in kayaks and things like that. But we just went out for the day, but I didn't actually encounter. Only other thing that happened is weather can just flip like that. It just fog just comes in from nowhere. Do you know what I mean? And it's a bit spooky, like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A bit spooky, but I've not actually encountered anything up at Moors. It's all more or less been up Danes Dyke and around Bempton Cliffs and that. And get a lot of UFO. I mean, even when we're out on a night and that, we've got a little log bird in my back garden, and we'll fire that up some nights, you know, on a nice night and that, me and wife and kids. And get some marshmallows and toast marshmallows, you know, on fire and that, and sit out and get binoculars and just have a look. And we see quite a lot of strange things in the sky as well. But yeah, me encounter, the first encounter was 2nd of June, and then there was that witch on 10th, and the one where I says I'm going to run it over. That was my 2nd encounter, which was 3rd encounter, and then 4th encounter was when me and my wife, kids were staying with grandma, having an holiday because it was school holidays and that, for summer holidays and that. So kids were over at grandma's and that, having a bit of time with grandma, stopping over there. So me and my wife got a bit of time to us, and I says, "Hey, should we go up Danes Dyke and that, and we'll do a bit of wild camping and that?" They sort of was like, yeah, okay, and that. And I've got some I'll have to send you some more videos and things and that and stuff and pictures and that, Josh, and that. What I've got, I'll go through all my stuff and that. I've got that much stuff on my phone. It's absolutely chock-a-block. I'm always at it. I'm out and about. I must walk about, I don't know, anywhere between 5 and 10 miles a day. I've got 2 American bulldogs, so they
Yeah,
need a lot of walkies, you know what I mean? The big dogs weigh 9 stone each, like, you know what I mean? And so I do a lot of walkies and that. I go all over the bloody place and that. And but this particular night, we've not got dogs with us and that. I didn't have dogs at the time. It was it was last year. What was it now? It was a full moon as well, actually, that night. It was if I go back into my photos and my videos, I'm sure it was around. It was September or something. Might have been September, I think. August, September, something like that. But it was full moon. And we got a fire going and that. I've got van parked up on main car park. And we've gone down into woods and where dike runs down. It's about a 200-foot drop down to it. It goes down. And this is in woods and all that. And I get fire going. I gathered some wood up before it got dark, and obviously it got dark and that. And then this guy appeared, and he got 2 dogs with him. One was a Springer Spaniel, and I don't know what other one was. Like this brown, it looked like a Labrador or something like that. But what a Labrador! It looked like a Labrador, but what a Labrador! That run off that dog. The Springer Spaniel was running around this bloke's legs, and I think to this, I keep saying it. I only said it to our last, my missus over there. I says, if it weren't for that bloke, I think he would have been dead that night. And I'm up in car park. I says, right, I'm just going to do a video on that moon and all this sort of that. I'm there with my camera and all that, filming. She's messing about with fire and that, and there's this it's mad crazy noise and that. It sounds like, I don't know, I can't, just weird, crazy noise and that. Really, really loud. It just reverb through all woods and that. You could hear it. And this, when that bloke appeared, he heard it. Dog run off and that. It must have scared one of his dogs and that. Other one's running around his legs. And I went, Joe, get here now. And that. She's going, I messed around. I went, get here. And I just looked round. I've got some pictures on it. I'll have to send them you. That. There's a tree and it's about, I'd say about 5 foot tall. So I'm just over 6 foot. About 6 foot. Well, I'm 6 foot and I weigh 15 stone. This is about 5 foot tall. It's, I don't know, maybe 18-inch diameters, you know, thick or whatever. The tree that's cut off. And after that noise, she's messing about with fire. And she says these 2 yellow eyes popped up and that, and growled and snarled at her and that. And that's when I shouted her to get back in van because that bloke appeared with dogs and that. And I think if he hadn't appeared and that, I think we're going to get him, mate.
So you weigh over 200 pounds?
Yeah, I'm 15 stone, mate.
So you're about 210, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Because 14, a stone is 14 pounds.
Well, we do it in stone in UK, innit? And that. But yeah, I'm
so your dogs are like 126 pounds or something like that?
I'm just over 6 foot tall and I weigh 15 stone.
That's quite a bit.
Huh. And I could run like a gazelle. Like 100 gazelles.
Wow. Make sure that's correct. So if you're 15,
I'm 48 years old as well, so I'm not doing too bad as well.
You'd be 210 pounds. That's quite a bit. I mean, you're a big guy. You're not a little guy. So what you ended up seeing in the woods the first time was bad enough, but you continued to see it repeatedly, right?
Yeah, because what it is, Josh, it's like now. I mean, I've promised my kids and that and family I'm not going to go there again, but I just feel like there's something calling me to go back all the time. I don't know why, it just does and that. But when I go, I'm having all these strange things and that, you know what I mean? And Believe me, I'm not a soft lad and that. I think only thing I'm scared of is dying. And other than that, I'm not scared of no. You know what I mean? Spiders, I'll let them crawl all over me. Like, I don't give a crap about it. You know what I mean? But
Not as many poisonous spiders and snakes in England, thank goodness.
only adders there on it wants to watch out for adders and that. Grass snakes. We've got grass snakes and adders and that, but
But unfortunately, England apparently has a lot of other phenomena like dogman. It just seems
there is a lot of
people report them. I mean, a lot, and there are Bigfoot that people report too, like Deborah Hatswell.
I'm telling you now, right? It's an hot spot up here, and I mean, obviously, you know Paul. You spoke to him and that. It's like I said to Paul. This is how I met him several years ago and that. My mate had bought a drone. We were out kayaking around the cliffs up Bempton and all that, where Paul was a lot, looking into UFO things and that's coming in and out at sea and stuff like that. And he says to me, with my mate, like, he says, he says, do you fancy doing a bit of footage with drone for me and that? Like, yeah, no problem and that. So that's how we got to meet him and that. And that, I mean, that's probably 10 years or more ago or something like that. Yeah, I've been in Bridlington for about 18 years now. I've lived here for about 18 years. And I spent, 50 years.
What year did you have the first encounter with the one that you talked about on Saturday? Well, you drew a picture of it. Do you have a picture of it you could show us?
Yeah. I've got that picture. That's what I'm saying. It won't actually, it didn't look solid. It was like see-through.
Wow.
If you know what I mean? It
so running it over wouldn't have helped you stop it. It would have just, look at that. That is crazy. And it had green eyes like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not surprising. The green eyes is a very common thing.
I'll tell you what, it was a big bastard. I mean, I'm a big lad, like, but it was fucking bigger than me, like. And I'm not gonna lie, I was scared, mate. You scared?
When you saw that first one, was this before or after?
That what I've just shown you, that was my second encounter, that one.
Uh-huh.
The first encounter, I didn't actually see anything. I just felt something grab me like on my left shoulder, as if it like pushed me down like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt wind blow past me ear, my left ear, and that. It went, I'm over here, I'll come over here, something like that. And I absolutely crap myself, mate. I'm shit myself. I fucking dived it back in my van that I'm in now, right? I was sat here like this. I was sat here like this, and I got up with my machete. I got my machete, and I cracked myself.
But how are you going to fight something that you can't? That's not physical.
I just thought it was going to come through the door and that, because I kicked the door shut, and then I locked my van and that, and I just thought, if it comes try ripping through the door or breaking it, I'm just going to shove it through its throat or something. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I could think of. You know what I mean? It's like it's either that or me. You know what I mean? I'm not going down without a fight, mate. You know what I mean?
Was this before or after you ran into what could or may not have been a Drew?
No, this was 2nd of June. This the first encounter, but I didn't. There were no there. Because I mean, if it's shape shifting, so I've got like more into it with obviously having encounters and that. The canines, trees and all sorts of things and that, and deers and all sorts of crap. You know what I mean? And it's like I physically felt it because Paul is. This is how I ended up getting in touch with Paul again over here when it happened and that, because it was only a few days in between my encounter. Paul experienced the same thing, and he's got a video, and it's called Magnetic Pull or something like that. And when I watched it, I thought, so Julie messaged him and that. And he says, oh, you want to come? So him and Les come and film me and that, and for Wolflands too and that, because obviously it relates to some reports that other people have had as well. There were one encounter where I think they were an old, fairly oldish couple. I'm not saying really old, but like maybe late 50s, 60s, or something like that. And there were a chap and his wife, and she needed a wee wee. So she's gone to have a wee wee,
Yeah.
and as she's been like weeing and that in bushes and that, she's like let out and screaming and yelling and that, and someone pinned her to the floor and held her down and that. Apparently, these are some accounts, and this is an area where I go camping up around that, where I showed that it's like a viewpoint and that. It's like a bit of a peninsula that comes out, and that's where I camp on edge of there, looking out to North Sea and that, and I can see. I'm looking. It's the southeast. I'm looking southeast when I'm up there camping, and then I'm sheltered back at tree line, and I'm about 200 foot, maybe 300 foot above sea, on top of cliffs and that where I am. It's about 300 foot above sea level and that. And like chalk cliffs and that, and that's where I usually camp out. Like I won't be anymore though. I'm not allowed.
When you had that was the second encounter. What was the first one? Like, tell us the details of
The first one is what I was just on about, where it was like a push on my shoulder,
yeah, the shoulder.
and yeah,
You said it looked wispy, like you could see through it.
no, that was second encounter. That
Second encounter, but
the first encounter, right? I'll start again from the beginning. It was 2nd of June last year, and I was up on top of this peninsula. Them videos I sent you, where I've got like fire going and that, and I'm looking out over to sea. I was there, I was camping there. I was on my own. My wife and kids were over at Doncaster at the time, and I just got it in my head. I thought, right, I'm home alone. I'm bored. Do a bit of wild camping, so I get geared up and off I goes. You know what I mean? And it got to about what somewhere which we call it witch hours, and that is between 1 and 3 o'clock. I'd say around 2 to half 2 in the morning, early hours at morning. It was starting to get a little bit daylight, but sea wasn't rough. It was only just like lapping and that, but I couldn't see waves anymore, and there were birds tweeting and that in woods, and it just all went dead silent and that. And I just like heard a bit of rustling about in bushes and behind me sort of thing. I'm like, in deers or something, badgers and that, and foxes. I didn't think notes on it. I'm there messing about with fire and that. And then it was getting a bit closer and that. And then I started thinking, well, it sounds a bit loud and that. If you understand it, it was a bit hefty. And oh, I just got that feeling, my senses kicked in. Well, obviously, we've been ex-miller and that. I'm a bit tuned and things and that, to nature, my surroundings and that. I fit in with it and that. I pick up on stuff. And I thought it just popped in my head. I was like talking to myself in my head, and I thought, something not fucking right here. I need to go. So I've got my webbing on and that. So I've got my bergen and that was at the side me, my bash and that. So I ripped all my bash down. Just rams it all in a bit. I just shoved everything in, just rammed it all in, not put it in neat. I just rammed it all in and that as quick as possible. Got my water bottle, poured it all over fire, kicked ashes about and that, made sure it was out, because I don't want to set the forest on fire and that. You know what I mean? I always make sure I put the fire out. I set softer up woods and that in total darkness and that, you know what I mean? I've got a torch on me, but I don't use it and that, only if I need to. But as I'm walking through woods, I can hear this crashing. It's like something was pacing me, maybe about 60 to 80 foot behind me or something like that. I'd estimate which sound until it appeared to me and that, So I managed to get back. Well, some of them pictures I sent, you know, them branches that are snapped down,
Mm-hmm.
they're what were snapped over on my way back. They're them. That's what I was hearing getting snapped over. They're them. Them pictures I've sent you, they're them. And I gets back to the van, and that's takes my Bergen off. It's a great big backpack thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? Massive British Army Bergen. I takes it off. I went, chucks it in back of my van. That's why I'm in now, my van and that. And I'm taking my webbing off, and that's when I felt it. It felt like it compressed on it. When I could feel it, it felt like it compressed me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on my left shoulder, like as if somebody puts weight on you like that. And I'm a fairly big guy in that. You know what I mean? And it like put, I'm like, you know, and I had this. I'm over here, and I fucking looked at it. I went, the fuck? You know what I mean? I fucking shit myself, mate. I fucking jumped in back at the van and I shut the fucking door and locked myself in and I sat there with my shit in fucking come down. You know what I mean? One of them.
Okay.
And that was first encounter. Then second encounter is the one. Now this was crazy bit about it as well. I've talked to my mate. He lives in Birmingham, so it's like what, a couple 100 miles from here, or something like that. I'm from Birmingham. I talk like that. Oh, I'm from Birmingham, mate.
Well, Birmingham.
My mate Pete, I was talking to him, and I was talking to a friend of mine. She lives in Montreal in Canada. She's called Margaret, lovely woman. I was talking to them on message, you know, on video call and that. I was acting about, and I got that app thing on, and I'm going, Marge, telling Julie and that, it's got me. I'm a skinwalker. You know what I mean? Acting about, and then it just all went pear shaped from there. And after that, and I think that's because I was mocking it. Because apparently, if you underestimate the power, they'll show you, they'll teach you a lesson, and that. And that's that picture what I've shown you, what I've drawn. It's like there's a big car park, and it used to be an old manor apparently from 1800s or something like that, 1800s. There's only one way in and one way out, and you come down this lane and you come into the car park, but to get back out, you've got to go up lane. How can I describe it? There's a section where it's both direction, but there's only one way in and one way out.
Mm-hmm.
And my van won't start for about 3.5 hours, and I kept seeing. I'm talking on the phone and that, and after I spoke to my mate Pete and Margaret, my wife and my eldest daughter were video calling and that. I'll send you pictures and that. Because this is the craziest thing about it. When that happened, my van won't start for 3.5 hours. I managed to get it started, and because my daughter's going, look, Dad, just get out of it. And that goes, it fucking hurts, bro. I'm fucking better now. That, it scratched a big question mark inside of my van. Honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but this is what happened. And it was there, it was just stood there like that, going, "Rah," you know what I mean? And there's only one way out, and I thought, look, if you don't fucking move, I'm gonna fucking run you down, mate. You know what I mean? I fucking, yeah, I put full beam on, I fucking floored it, zing, did wheel spin and that. And it just fucking disappeared. I blinked and it had
Ooh,
gone.
come on. So you think because you've said before the words like skinwalker, you think it's akin to a shapeshifter?
I think it's a skinwalker. I think it's shapeshifter, me definitely. It's witchcraft crap.
What about? I mean, if it's fading in and out and it's looking like you can see through it, then what do you think that is? I mean, do you still think it's a shapeshifter? If it's a shapeshifter, is it doing something physical? You know what I mean? Like, how does that?
I mean, is it related into like ghost? You think like paranormal? This is what I said to Paul. I says, look, I didn't expect to get into all this paranormal stuff and that. You know what I mean? I only come out while camping. I didn't expect all this crap and that. You know what I mean? I was going, yeah, because it'll bring me in that. I mean, he messages me every morning round about 7, 8 o'clock every morning. It messages me, Paul. And he'll ask me how I am and that. And he'll say, if you're going up there, just be careful what you're doing, you know. I goes, I know what I'm on with and that, you know what I mean? So, because I mean, he's experienced things. He gets reports of things all the time and that, Josh, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going up there. Because just further up from where I go day and night, there's Bempton Cliffs and that. And it's like a bird, what do you call it? Like observatory thing. It's like a thing, and you can go and watch all puffins and birds and all that flying in the Atlantic cliffs and things. Well, just to your left hand side from that, there's an old RAF base from Second World War period of that goes about 200 foot underground. And cliffs are about 200 to 300 foot tall. And there's all sorts of weird reports and calls up there all the time and that. He asked me if I wanted to go up tonight. I said, nah, I'm going on a live stream thing and that. Plus it's raining, so I thought, well, I don't fancy getting wet again and that. And they're seeing odd things coming in and out at sea and stuff like that. And there were a lot of, this is going back. I'm going to try and find it and post it to you. But it's hard to find it. I think he was called Wayne or something. Paul knows him anyway. It's something to do with Paul. This is how I met when I first met Paul. But now, if you go on that property where that RNF base is, you'll be arrested.
Wow.
Because somebody just, honestly, right, you could just step over the fence, right, and all of a sudden somebody just appears out of nowhere, a copper or military dude or something, just appear from nowhere. And they shut it all off and that, because people going in there. Because what they found was, I'll have to try and find it. I don't know if you've ever seen it and that. A lot of satanic crap going off inside it and that. And they found all these robes and that, and they've been doing seance, there were pentagons, and there's pictures of devil women with dildos and that, strap-on dicks and all sorts of fucking crazy shit and that going off and that, you know, painted all over the walls and that. Weird shit, mate, weird shit. But it goes on like 200 foot underground, this base and that. And just weird shit, but because of all this satanic crap that were going off there, they shut it all down and that. Because they were like doing, I don't know what they were sacrificing. They were sacrificing something, so blood all over and things and that, and like so these robe things, like monk robes, or like what she had on it, woods and that. That woman, whatever she was, that witch or whatever she was, like that, like a black robe thing, like a Sith Lord out of Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when all that were going off and that, because there's a few people been gone missing and that, because the bit where I go camping, I didn't know this until after, and Paul told me, he says, oh, well, where you been camping? Just over there under that tree. There were 3 blokes, and this were back in, I think it was in 80s or something like that, about 83 or something, 1983. The 3 lads, they weren't from Bridlington, they come up here, they're doing a bit of wild camping, I don't know, from down south or something like that. And they got the tents pitched up under this tree anyway, not just right from where I were camping sort of thing. And they disappeared. And there were a manhunt for 2 weeks and that. There were police out, this, that, other, Coast Guard, you name it. Everybody looked searching for them. They totally vanished. But all the tents and everything were still there intact. All the stuff and everything were all intact. Right. Anyway, 2 weeks later, about 5 miles further up north on coast, they were found at Bodmin cliffs, dead.
Wow.
But there were no bruises. When they did a post-mortem, there were no injuries to them. But they were naked. They don't know how they got there, naked like that.
When this thing would happen to you with your back and the pictures, I don't know if did we show the pictures? Did y'all see them? I don't know if we saw them.
them scratches, I tell you what, I didn't even know it had happened at first. And that, it was my wife and that. She says, "What you been doing?" I says, "What? What you on about?" She went, "Look at your back and that." So I like looked at me and went, "Bloody hell, what's happened there?" And that, and it just felt like, I mean, I'm a bit tough like to pain and that. I'm not making out I'm a solid bloke and that, but I can handle a bit of pain. But I just knew there was something. It just felt like an itch, if you know what I mean, just like a bit itchy. But when I looked at me, I thought, "Blimey, God, hey, what the hell?" You know what I mean? She says, "What you been doing?" I said, "I don't know." She says, "I've just got up."
So because I can't remember if we actually show the pictures on the show, or was it just me using my phone? I can't remember.
I
But
think
you
you just use your phone, Josh, and that.
okay? Because I
I
thought
mean,
we
if you want to show it, I'm not. You know, I've sent them. You can show it. I'm not. You know what I mean? There's no to hide in that. Show videos, pictures, whatever you want. You know what I
because
mean?
they were pretty bad. There's scratches and they were all in one area, and this happened after the third encounter. Was it the
Yeah,
third?
and this when these feathers appeared and that. When these feathers appeared, so it'd be around New Year's Eve time.
Mm-hmm.
I think around New Year's Eve, Christmas time. It's just gone.
Well, I know this. If it was me and I was in the woods, and I'm not saying that you did, you shouldn't have whatever. I'm saying you shouldn't have, but I would not.
Look, I'm a nosy Parker, innit? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, what's that? I know now. I wish I'd have never. Yeah, but too late, innit? It's
I
too
would have
late.
never touched that at all. I mean, it would just not have even come into my mind. It was laying down though when you found it, right? It wasn't standing up.
No, they were standing up.
Oh, it was.
They were standing up, mate.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. That's not okay. So, folks, if you come across something in the woods,
Do not touch it.
don't do it. Don't touch it because I mean, obviously, you're. And so ever since then, everything's just kind of gone to hell, huh?
Oh yeah, massive. Every time I go up there, I went up over a week and that night. My dad we swapped over. I got my old car back, so I was running that because and my dad had took my van that I'm in now because I made it it's like a camper van and that. I've kitted it out into a stealth camper and that. So I like camping out. I do a lot of camping out. I go all over the place. I walk all over everywhere. I'm not shy that way and that. But yeah, lo and behold, and that we goes up to Dane's night. This is only what couple of weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, something like that. Maybe 4 weeks ago, tops. Lo and behold, we goes out for a walk. I've got dogs with us and that. Car won't start when it gets back. Tried everything. I had to phone my dad. He drove an hour and a half from Doncaster to Bridlington with my van to get car running. It won't run. So, because it's in my dad's name now, my old car and that, he phones AA, which is like a recovery thing, a AA service and that, what they call AA, the recovery team thing and that. As guy rolls up in AA van, car on his starts.
How long
after about nearly 2.5 hours, car starts.
How long have you been dealing with these encounters? You've had 4 now.
Since 2nd of June last year, mate.
But you said I thought you said that the scratches happened in like right after New Year's.
Yeah. No, it's all my first encounter was 2nd of June last year.
Last year, okay, and then you had okay. So you had the first one, the 2nd of June. The second one was when?
10th.
The 10th.
Yeah, of July last year.
Going
Not
on
this year, last year. It's been going on for like 12 months now.
This has been an entire year. This is July 10th today.
Yeah. It's a year today. to
Yeah.
that second encounter. That's that.
I'll be 32 in 4 days.
You what, mate?
I said I'll be 32 in 4 days.
32.
Yeah.
You only look in your 20s, mate.
I'm almost 49, man. I'll be 49 in 4 days, man.
49.
I'm an old man. I feel
I'm
like
48, me.
I feel young though. I feel like a young guy.
Yeah, look at me hair. It's grey. Look, I'm Snow White.
Well, but you have a full head of hair though. This is my
yeah,
real
look.
hair. Everybody tries to say things about it.
I've got look. That's me hair. Look, mate.
You have flowing locks.
I hadn't had it cut since I come out of army in 2009.
Jeez, that's a long time.
Yeah. Captain Morton says to me, he says, now you've got your discharge, change your appearance. I went, I will.
You decided to just grow it out, huh?
Yeah, stop shaving and stop having my hair cut. It saves money anyway. I can't afford it.
Yeah. I look I had my hair down past my shoulders a couple times. I have pictures. I look kind of funny. I look
Mine's down to my ass crack, mate.
my head's too round. It just even like I had slimmed down a couple times in my life and I've gotten real. Then my head doesn't shrink though. It just stays big and fat and I look like an olive. It just looks thin, but just like a big round head. So I don't look too appealing when I let my hair grow long. I don't think I look good. And it gets real thick in the back. It's real thick.
Yeah, I've got thick. I've got Spanish in it. In that, I look like an old man now. I don't know. You know what I mean?
My hair's not real thick right here, but it's thick in the back. But thank
my missus keeps saying, "Why don't you get some just for men and diet?" I went, "Shut up, you stupid."
Don't use just for men. Do not use that stuff because that dye will get in your skin. It's very bad for you.
I know. So I said to her, I go, so why don't you diet? And that I went, shut up, you stupid woman.
Oh, don't say that. So Bernard Fox.
She knows that it's a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a comedy thing called The Lower Low.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it in that? It's called Renee and that. It's like a Mickey Tech at Germans and French and that from Second World War and that sort of thing.
Oh.
And his wife and that, she's like a pest and that, and he'll go, shut up, you stupid woman. It's like a French dude and that's called Renee.
Renee.
Oh, Renee.
So Bernard had asked, he's laughing about this, but Bernard earlier asked a very pertinent question. He says, is England and the UK the same thing? No, England is actually part of the United Kingdom. England it was actually England that conquered the other countries and created the United Kingdom. They united it. And so they take
There's 4 countries: England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. And that's the UK.
Mm-hmm. And the Anglican Church was the galvanizing because King Henry VIII wanted a divorce. So he said, I'm not going to be a part of the Catholic Church because the Pope said no. Well, no, I know I give you a divorce.
He wanted to divorce his wife, didn't he? So he says, well, screw up Catholics. I'll demolish it and that and start Church of England and that. Yeah.
So the Church of England actually was born out of divorce. It's a weird thing. I mean, people don't understand. And then he got married again and again and again, like 4 times. He killed 4 of his wives or whatever. I mean, it was it 4? I know he killed Anne Boleyn.
It was Catherine. She was Spanish.
Yeah, Catherine.
She was first. Then it was Jane, Mary.
Yeah, Mary's daughter, who was named after her, had her namesake, Mary, Queen of Scots. She was known as Bloody Mary because she started a Catholic revolution to take back England under Catholicism.
She spent most of the time in Tower of London and that, I think.
Tower of London, yeah. But her daughter had a lot of people killed, right? A lot of people, Bloody Mary. And to this day, we play a game called Bloody Mary. It's where
that's a Jane as well. I think there were Jane. He married Jane. He had a lot of women.
Yeah,
and his mistresses as well.
Times was Henry VIII married? I don't know that. I know that he was married quite a bit.
He did actually have a son in end in that because that's what it is. It was obviously breeding and that, and he kept having girls, because
Ah,
that's how Elizabeth I
yeah.
came in, because that was his one of his daughters, Elizabeth I.
He was only really married 3 times.
I think it was 3 or 4 times he was married, but he had a lot on going, that, like mistresses and that. They were a bit naughty in that, weren't they, in them days?
So he had an annulment that declared that a true marriage never took place, unlike a divorce in which a married couple in their union. Along with his 6 wives, he took several mistresses. And according to this, it was Catherine of Aragon, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Anne Boleyn, and then Anne of Cleves, Jane Seymour. That was the one you're talking about, Jane Seymour.
Yeah, Jane. Yeah, Jane.
Catherines, which was Catherine Howard and Catherine Parr. But that was Henry VIII. And if you watch the Tudors, I've seen it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was a very interesting show.
It's a crazy period, Tudor times. It's very, like you just said, it's. I mean, I in history when I was at school and that, we did a lot of stuff like with Tudor and that, learning about Tudor period with Henry VIII and that. And that's I went on a trip with school years and years ago when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I went down to town of London and seeing Crown Jewels, everything. You know what I mean? And there's his armor, like what he wore and that, because he used jousting. They used to do jousting, horses with big long thing and that, and they crash into each other and knock them off at horse and that and things like that. Jousting.
Joel, let me ask you a question, because there are a lot of different theories as to what's going on in England. And of course, I've talked to your friend Paul quite a few times.
Fire away.
So I want to know your opinion on this, because I have an opinion, but I don't know if I'm correct. I could be way off, but there are people in the British military, one who I've talked to not too long ago. His name is Brandon, and he was telling me that he believes that some of these things are let loose near the Scottish-English border, and that is actually what was the sightings that took place in that area, which would have been just west of the Moors National Park there.
Yeah.
That he believes that could have been the inspiration for the movie Dog Soldiers.
I've seen that film, Dog Soldiers. Now this is I can't believe you said that, because that was one of the things that popped in my head. I've seen that film, Dog Soldiers, and that, and I've even I've been thinking all sorts of things of it last 12. It's like over 12 months now. It's been happening and that, and it just reminds it reminds me of that kind of, are the dogmen, are the skinwalkers, what are they? You know what I mean? Are there some kind of military dog soldier, or I don't know. You know what I mean? This is what I'm looking for answers still. Do you know what I mean? But what I believe is I do believe it's to do with witchcraft, or there's some dark magic thing or something, witchcraft thing or something involved with possibly what I've encountered, and I believe. But I mean, I'm not saying that it's that, but that could be one aspect of it. But then again, that could be totally separate to like what you're just saying. Like, are the dog soldiers? Are some kind of military experiment that's been released? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, shortly after Rendlesham, I know a guy whose father was involved in that. Ironically, I interviewed Jesus Payan, who had actually said that he had seen some weird things. His dad was involved in the Rendlesham Forest incident. Shortly after that incident took place, now this was it started in the mid 80s, or I guess mid 80s to late
83 or something like that, wasn't it? Something like that.
And so the mid 80s saw a rash of sightings of a creature that people described as gorilla-ish, but also wolf-like, like a gorilla body, but kind of like a wolf-like head with straight up and down ears. So what are your thoughts on that? Could it be a creature that was released by extraterrestrial forces, or could it be something that was just akin to a skinwalker? Could it be something from the inner earth that people are seeing? In particular, like like Barnston Drain and the other place that that Paul has talked about in particular. There's one.
Yeah, Bam's Old Stinky.
Yeah, Old Stinky. Yeah, and so then they have there's another place that Paul and Les have talked about on the show quite a bit. That's the main one. And it escapes me right now. I wish Paul was up. He could message me and tell me, but I'm sure he's sound asleep right now.
Well, that Bamson Drain, that's where that comes into Dane's Dyke.
Yeah,
So
Dyke, because there was a story about Dane's Dyke of one of these things running along the top of it. And
yeah. Well, that along top of that bit, how can I describe it? It's like as you're going down into Dane's Dyke, there's a fair old drop down to where Dyke is, where it comes from Bamson Drain. But they've like cut road. I mean, have they disturbed it because the road that they've put in, it's cut through an ancient burial mound and that. So you know, have they upset? You know, I mean, through day, there's people had strange things happen through day, but on a night it comes alive. You know, it really after a certain time, it's not safe to be up there. And Paul will tell you the same because he'll say to me, he says, "Look, just be careful when you're up there. You know what it's like." And that it's like, "Yeah, I'll be all right, Paul. Yeah, I'll be all right, mate." You know what I mean? It's terrified me, mate. It's terrified me. Encounters.
The Beast of Bodmin Moor. That's the one I was trying to remember.
Yeah, Beast of Bodmin Moor.
Yeah. A lot of people say that is a giant cat, though. And some have said...
Yeah, it's a black cat.
A giant black cat, yeah.
Yeah, like a panther or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Some stories, a particular individual named Patrick got in touch with us. And he's from Scotland, and he was saying that when they were in the Moors National Forest, they saw something. Now, this is not necessarily the Bodmin myth or whatever, but he was saying that he saw what looked like a black cat crawling down from a tree, and if he wasn't mistaken, there was a bear-like entity or something that was just below it, and when it saw them, it took off. On two legs. It ran on two legs, kind of wobbling back and forth. And then this cat-like entity crawled down off of the tree and then took off. But when it did, it got up and then came back down. So two different entities were seen at the same time by a Scottish
couple it's crazy that
in the national forest. Now, what's really odd about that is we had a story from the Yosemite National Forest that was very similar. Now, I have a friend of mine who has done a lot of work with the national parks. Yosemite was one of them. And he had said that people were reporting a bear-like entity or entities that were running around out in the woods. And they were being seen, not
is this in the US,
but
in the US.
In the US, yeah. They were being seen like in his show is everybody knows is What Lurks Beneath is Josh Ninocchio. But these beings were being seen opposite of one another. They weren't together, but there were these wolf-like beings that were very clearly canid, and then there were these bear-like beings that looked like a cross between a bear and a man. And the arms of these bear-like beings were not, they had hair on the arms, not fur. Not fur. The wolf-like beings were covered in fur. The bear-like beings were not covered in fur. They had a hair real thick across the chest, and you could clearly see what looked like tattoos on them.
Like an hairy man, sort of thing, tattoos.
I got tattoos. Like they had them on their shoulders like we do. And that they were blue. They had blue tattoos, and they were clearly a type of Celtic or Viking tribal looking tattoos. I'm not joking. And so I have to give credit to Josh Nogi. I told him if I use his stories, I try to give him credit. So I got to remember to say that because that was originally his work. But you're looking at these things, and if you want to check out Josh Nogi's show, it's called What Lurks Beneath. It's a humongous channel. It's legit. Go check it out. But it was really weird that these beings, they were seen at opposite times. But then the bear-like beings, there was like some sort of military incursion that took place, and then people stopped seeing the bear-like beings but continued to see the wolf-like beings, and then they began to see these Bigfoot type creatures. So it's like the government moves one out and puts them somewhere else and then puts some others in. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying that that's what it sounds like. That's what it
It
seems
could be
like.
possible.
Possible, yeah. And so this couple from Scotland, and this guy Patrick too, he's the one that told me about the couple. And he said that, well, I mean, he knows these people. This is his first, the female is his first cousin, and the other one's one of his really good friends. They grew up together. And so he said, look, we lived like 20 miles aside, would be kilometers, but it's 20 miles
Yeah.
outside of Glasgow. And he said, you know, he believes that this is real. And so there was this bear-like entity that they saw, but it wasn't very large. But it had a thin, another creature that wasn't overly large. But when I started doing the research, I looked into the Bodmin, Beast of Bodmin.
Bodmin Beast, yeah.
Yeah, and so you get this weird story.
See, we don't have bears in UK.
There's not, and there's no giant cats. There's no werewolves. And not
Those are
supposed to be wolves, but there's werewolves.
I've heard lots of reports from what Paul's witnessed from people, you know, reports of black cats. And I've actually, it was quite, it was, I'd say, I think it was February, March this year. And I went for a walk, I was on my own and that. I walked up to Dane's Dyke and back. I thought, right, I'm just going to go for a walk and that. And I walked up Dane's Dyke, do a bit of videoing and things and that. See what, you know, find. I was looking for paw prints and things like that. I got some plaster of Paris with me, so I cast it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a few bits and bobs of that. Probably dog paw prints and that, you know what I mean? So not to get excited about. And I sets off back, and I'm on my way back because I'm walking along top of cliffs. There's a golf course in between Dane's Dyke, which is like woods and all that, and Dyke. And then there's a place that's called Sowerby Hall. It's like a big old manor thing and that, you know what I mean? Like a royal palace thing or something like that. Nice grounds and all that. And then there's like it's called Shipping, a pub, and they've got is it llamas, whatever. They're like a camel thing out there, something like that. This is like a bit of a zoo there, and that we've got certain animals. But in between that, there's this golf course anyway, and it's got like, you know, just a little bit of trees there, and a little bit of trees there. Then this like long grass, you know, because imagine it's a golf course, so it's fairly cut short and that. But there's like bits of rough and that in between, and like little bits of woodlands. And I walked. It was sludgy because it was like February, March, so it was a bit squidgy and that. So I thought I'll just get out of mud and that, and I'll go a bit further up because it's like a bit of a slope on it and that. So I get up onto higher ground a bit where grass was, so I won't getting stuck in mud and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just for some reason, and it's not like me to do this. I just lost my bearings completely. I thought I were further on than I was. So I thought, right, I'll go this way. So I headed up. What I thought I was going to get to a Shipping is because it's like you go up and then you go down like this little path thing between two fences and houses, and then you come out and pubs there and that sort of thing, and street and that. I thought I'll go in there, get a drink and have a wee wee, and that's I needed a wee wee. And I'd come off premature, if you know what I mean. It was further on where I needed to be, but I'd lost my bearings a bit, which is unusual for me. And I looked and I thought, what the hell was that? And there's like, if you can imagine, there's like these two woods either side and that, and then this long grass, I'd say like maybe 2 foot tall. or something like that. And I thought, what's that? And I'm looking, so I starts walking over to it, and I'm thinking, is it a deer or what? And I'm thinking, and it like bobbed down and that. So I got my torch, I've got this with me. I've got like torch on that end, and then a big torchy bit there and things. So I'm getting it like that, shining it about. And as I was shining it about, it popped up again and that, and eyes lit up when my torch hit it. And it wasn't a deer, it was a black cat. So I thought, oh shit, I need to go. So I didn't run, because I thought if I run, it might chase me and that. And I'd say what I'd got. I mean, I think on. I'm thinking, oh, is it deer? And I'm really torching that, and I'm walking up to it, and I must have been what 10 yards away from it. And then I realised what it was. And I thought, oh crap, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna do an about turn here, and I'm off. But like I said, I didn't dare run because I thought if I run it might chase because like the 10 cats and that, if it runs, they'll get you, doesn't it? You know what I mean? They chase after it and that. So I just thought I just tootled off and that sort of thing, and I kept looking round, and I could see it like squatted down and that. And then I got maybe 150 yards away. I looked round again, and it had gone. I couldn't see it and that. So I thought, there, I get foot down. And then I picked my tracers back up and that. I went through cricket field and I got to where I wanted and went through that path and that, and then got to ship in. So that were definitely a black cat what I saw and that, because they have been reported up there a lot.
What do
And
you think these things are? I mean, do you think that it's an actual
I think it's shapeshifters. I think
shapeshifter?
it's shapeshifters.
Because I've heard that too. Like you were talking about Welsh witches earlier, but
They turn into cats and dogs
turn
and
into
wolves and crows and all sorts of things. Trees. They can even turn into a grain of corn or something, apparently.
yeah.
You have to look into it. Ceridwen's story, I think you'll find it interesting. It's quite a good story. It's about, I suppose it's like a story of betrayal,
Hmm.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a Welsh myth and that, and it comes from Ireland originally. So check it out. Ceridwen, she's called. Ceridwen.
Yeah. So, any other encounters we need to know about before we let you run?
That's mainly about it, really. I mean, obviously, I could go into mass detail about it, but like, you know, that's about it. What I'll have to do is I'm going to post you some more videos and stuff and pictures that I've got and see what you're making it and that.
Put
Josh,
it
you know
in
what I mean?
Paranormal Roundtable group. I normally don't condone pictures because people can put pictures and then everybody says, "Oh, that's fake. It's not real, whatever." But put the pictures on there and let the people decide what you. You can
Yeah.
also put your renditions.
I
Your
mean, there's not pictures of anything that I've seen. It's just like with these feathers and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and there's
Yeah, that's what I'm
no
saying. Show them what you have.
and
And,
and, and,
and
and
people-
like videos where I've been testing with my multimeter and EMFs are just going off at scale and things like that. It starts off all right, and then it just was berserko and that. You know what I mean, some weird things up there, some weird stuff up there.
Mhm.
I won't be going anymore anyway. That's for sure. I promise. I can't break my promise to the kids and that. You know what I mean? They're scared to death of me and that. They're like, please, Daddy, don't go up there and that. In fact, I'll tell you what there is. I've got a video of it.
Yeah.
My wife, she was over at Doncaster, and kids, my twin daughters, they were with me. We were up at Bridlington, and I said, "You fancy going today in the dike?" And that we'll have an ice cream, and they said, "Oh, because it's like a cafe thing there, there's that fruit there and that in car park."
Yeah.
And it was weird, mate. And this is after, when I made that offering with feathers and that. I went up with kids, and they were they didn't feel comfortable anyway that day, right? And there were loads and loads of squirrels were doing videos and that. So they're going, "Oh, look at squirrels, Daddy," and that. And they're going, "Oh, look at that cheeky little monkey there," and that. So we went down, and this is where my wife, you know, went on about where she got fire going, and she saw eyes come up and that early encounter, and that we heard that growl thing and that. It was that same spot, and I'm not kidding, right? Because one of me, Lily, we called Lily and Ava. We're Lily, and that. She went, Daddy. It's hit me on the head and that, and there were squirrels, right? And I'm not kidding, they were bombarding us with acorns, they were throwing acorns at us. And I mean, proper bombarding us, it was like rapid fire. So I thought, oh, I'll do a silly video and that. You know, with squirrels attacking it, but I just like afterwards when I thought about it, I thought, that's weird. You know, I've never, you know what I mean? Like they were attacking us. You know what I mean? They were absolutely bombarding us with acorns. Absolutely bombarded us. I found that quite strange. And that, in fact, this was through daytime as well. And kids said that they didn't. They're like, "Can we go now, Daddy?" And that, it don't feel right. I went, "I know, it feels a bit weird, doesn't it?" And that, you know what I mean? And I had that feeling when we first got there. I just thought, it just felt weird. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
You know, it just felt weird. And then
Yeah.
with that, with squirrels, like, honestly, it was like rapid fire, like that. You know what I mean? I says, "Come on, we'll go back home," and that, you know what I mean? So we jumped in van and went back home, and got him an ice cream and went back home.
So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up with you, Joel, and thank you for
that's
coming on
fine,
and
mate.
sharing your stories. I appreciate it. Somebody asked me if I knew you were swearing. I was like, yeah, I know you're cussing. I can tell. And they were like, did I know?
I get a bit potty mouth now and again. I do apologize.
But you know, somebody also mentioned that it doesn't even sound vulgar because of the accent so thick. To Americans, they probably don't even understand what you're saying as far as the.
I get it all the time in that. You know what I mean? I get it all the time in that. I've got a friend who's called Maximus, is from North Carolina, and he's like, I only understand every 4 words you say or something like that.
Yeah.
It's those bloody Cockney Yorkies, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because people don't realize that New York is actually named after York.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's funny because some of the first people that founded it were from there. And New Yorkers, with the way that they talk, it was an evolution of talking with the Yorkshire accent, and it just went and it went on and on. Because you know, if you were to go back into 1800s, New York, people would talk like a mixture of your speak mixed with a New England accent. So people don't, you know, that's a little.
Yeah, well, I didn't realise. I mean, it's only recently I've started finding out when things have been mentioned.
Somebody's
there's
asking
a lot of places in America that have got. There's like Lancaster and things like that in America and things, and some like what towns and cities we've got in the UK. There's actually places in America named same. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
You know.
Somebody's asking you to say daughter. Say daughter.
Daughter.
Yeah, daughter. Yeah, so it's funny. It's funny because I talk to a lot of different people from England with different accents, and some of the hardest ones to understand are the Scottish when they start talking really fast.
Yeah. We Jimmy here, but you Jimmy.
Yeah.
Okay, for you, Jimmy.
I thought when he's talking, they said, "No, I got the way nutter." I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What is he saying?"
I'll tell you what I find hard to understand, and that's Geordie's from Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle's another.
Well, yeah, man,
Might as well be Scotland, right? Newcastle's like right there. I mean, that's
the crackers, mate. But I've got some good friends in that from Scotland and all of it, UK. You know what I mean? Wales, Ireland, Scotland, there's a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's crazy. I mean, we're not a massive country, but in this small country that we're in, the amount of different accents and that from town and counties and cities is unreal. Do you know what I mean?
Well, people are used to the accent of like the bourgeois people. They think that it's it's just tea and crumpets, and they think that everyone talks like that's not how they talk. That is a very refined nobility, the way that they
they're the your Majesty.
Yeah. That's not the common
Would
man.
you like another cup of tea, Your Majesty?
always cracks me up because people think it's like Downton Abbey or something, which is a good show, but I mean, it's not how everybody talks. And everybody has a different one. And some of my friends,
We're just a bit. We're called common
yeah,
people like you.
like so you have the House of Commons. You're like, oh, you weren't born rich. Well, you can stay over there and try to make laws. We will ignore them. But
Yeah. If your face doesn't fit, you're not coming in. Sort of thing.
Proeton says, I had a Scotsman yell at me, I'm speaking English. I don't speak English. What are you doing? What are you doing? What else are you talking
What
about?
are you doing, Jimmy? What are you saying here, Jimmy?
Who's with your brain? Like, okay, yeah. Don't you don't understand every other word is pretty much what it is, but
It's crazy because like Yorkshire's built. You've got North Yorkshire, East Yorkshire, South Yorkshire, and West Yorkshire. And I'm originally from South Yorkshire, so I'm near to like London and that. So I've got a bit. Yeah, all right, govern that. Yeah, all right. How we doing, me old geezer? Yeah, cockney boy. You know what I'm saying?
instead of talking about his score, he's like this old geezer. Oh, he's so getting in my face. Like,
You all right, bro? How we doing? You all right, mate? How we doing, bro?
now, mate, I straight to get really aggravated. Or his score is like, I want my smack. I smack you. And everybody's just like, oh, I don't understand what he's saying.
But if you go across other counties, it's like I'm from South Yorkshire, so I'll say no. But up here they go no,
No.
and it's different counties. They've all got like a different lingo and that. It's like Pete, my mate, he lives in Birmingham.
Somebody asked you
What
to
I
say
call a tooth, like we'd say, oh, my tooth.
me tooth.
They call it a tuff.
A tooth.
Oh, my tuff.
Oh, my tooth.
Oh, I've got toothache.
And in different parts of London, people talk with different accents too, because
Yeah, well, London, it's like, all right, he's in there now. You know what I mean? You got my pub in there.
particular, you have a very unique, the West End and how it looks, you know. And anyway, Joel, somebody said, Joel, please say Sharon.
Sharon.
Sharon. So you just said it normal. It doesn't sound bad. It doesn't sound like anything. All right. Well, anyways,
I'm
folks.
not that bad, is it? I've just got a bit of a twang on that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with you. Thank you for coming on and sharing.
No, I'm very grateful and that to come on and that. It's been an honour, mate, and to talk and tell me encounters.
Absolutely.
I hope you find it all interesting and that. Hopefully things might get better for me, innit? You know what I mean? Because I've been having a bit of a bad luck in that since all this and that.
Well,
so I don't think I'll be going there again.
Pray to God through Christ and ask Him to unbind anything that's been bound to you, and ask Him to send it back to the sender. I had to do that today because I've had a run of what could be considered bad luck lately, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And so I have to figure it out real quick because I don't have time to sit here and mess with all this stuff. And so I just go to God. That's all you can do.
It takes your time up, though, doesn't it? It takes your energy, Josh. You know what I mean? When these, I know what you're coming at. It's like, we say, oh, trouble comes in threes and that. Well, this has been 12 months now, so, it must have been 99 problems and, I ain't got one solution for it, you know what I mean? Sort of thing.
Well,
so,
right
yeah,
now,
I'm going to take your advice on that and I'm going to pray like I do. I always pray on a night. I thank the Lord and that and everything for everything that I've been granted and given to be alive and all that, and I'll continue to do it. And like you just said, but I'll try that. I'll say, can you please take it away?
Please take it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll have 99 problems, but Dogman won't be one. All right.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right. Better days ahead. Amy Creel says better days ahead. All right, Joe, I'm going to let you run. Thank you for being a part.
Right. Thank you very much. And God bless you all and that.
Bless you.
And take care, everyone.
All right, man. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
So that was Joel Burgess. I will be right back, folks. I will not be going anywhere. Just hold on 1 second because I have a story for you. Hang on. All right, I'm back. Okay, thank you. Oh, let me take them out. I don't need them. So that was Joel Burgess. I know a lot of people were having a hard time understanding him. And yeah, but he's got a very thick accent, you know, and even though he's English, it's hard to understand. I know a lot of people don't know different accents. There's a misconception that people think that, well, you know, they're speaking English, so that we should just be able to understand them. But people in Australia could even have like a really thick accent. In fact, somebody just said that their family has the accent, even though they were not there in Australia. They kept it. They still have it. It's still there. That's what happens, you know. So, Artistic Bunny says, "I want to marry an English or Scottish guy." Wow. But we have, since we were talking about England, and usually I throw these by old Paul there. You're talking about Paul Sinclair, who's very well versed, but he does a lot of work in one particular area. And so if I get something from there, I just kind of leave it alone because he's already doing so much work in that area. But every now and then I'll get a story like the one from this guy, Patrick, who's actually, like I said, he's Scottish, and he had given me a story that it was from, it wouldn't have been from the Moors National Park. It would have been from northwest of there, or kind of west of there, I guess, would have been. And let me see if I can pull up a map to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And he had an interesting story to tell me. I think the most telling thing about his story and encounter, because it was near the border. Now, it was Northumberland, and we talked about Northumberland earlier. And I believe, and then of course we heard Burgess talking about Newcastle, and then so Northumberland, it would have been near the Scottish border, which would have probably, from what it looks like on the map, it would have been closer to Carlisle, but because it was right there in between Cumbria and Northumbria, which would now be Northumberland. Here's what's important to know about that area. It was once taken over and conquered by the Vikings. The Vikings had raided that area pretty heavily. There was a pretty substantial population, English population, that had lived in that area. And so whenever you look at history, you look at like who was living there at that time. And at that time, yes, JD, Paul Sinclair is he's a very good. Go and listen to his show, Truth Proof. He's one of the good ones. There's a handful of really bad people in this field, and then there's some good ones, you know. And so, yeah, he's one of the good ones. And so, whenever you look at that region, I always think of the Viking influence, right? This would have been even before the conquest of, let's see, I think it would have even been before William the Conqueror. Let me look that up to make sure that the raids at that time. And William the Conqueror was, let's see, it would have been in 10, I don't, it says he died in 1087. I don't know. I know the conquest was like in 1060 something or another. But it would have been even before that time, the first raids in that area would have taken place. Now, William the Conqueror, yes, Viking, and people will argue this all day long. They'll be like, no, he was from France. Okay, he was from France, like a soccer player from Morocco who plays for France is from France. No. Okay, because people don't know history. They don't know what that is. They don't know, and they don't understand it. So I'm going to explain it to you. 1066. There you go, Joe. I knew it was 1063, 1060, something like that. So what happened was they were Norman, right? And if you look at Normandy, the land of the Normans, which is what Normandy is, it's in France. It's on the western coast of France, and it's carved out of France. It's like Brittany, which is a British holding that where they had taken over. We were talking about King Edward. I believe it was Edward III. Maybe you can correct me if somebody can remember. He had defeated England, France, and they carved out a piece of land that was given to them, partitioned to the English as part of their holdings, whatever, until Napoleon just basically kicked them off the continent and drove them out and said, "No, this is ours. Everything here is ours," whatever. And Napoleon was pretty tough. He's pretty ruthless. And then open combat, he defeated the British multiple times, and before they were ever their allies in particular, before they were able to take him down at Waterloo. And I'm talking, he fought Russia, Prussia, and at that time, Germany would have been like Saxony, Luxembourg, a couple of Italian armies, and he fought, England at the same time and was kicking their ass. Like, he was very tough. And he was Corsican. But anyway, I digress. This piece of land was part of France. It was a French holding. That it was taken. It was an English holding in France, but it was taken back. Now, Normandy was very similar. It was a Viking holding, and when they had tried to sack France, they ended up taking that particular piece of land. I can't tell you exactly when. I think it was in the 900s or something like that. And then they took over that piece of land, and they were really they were Norwegians. This was called Normandy. There was a type of Viking people. And then they took over England. They conquered England. Nobody believed that they could do it, but they did. And it was the third major conquest, the first being the Romans, the Romantic conquest. The second was the Saxon conquest. And then the third was the Norman conquest, which was basically a usurpation of Viking over what was a melding of Germanic and Anglican, whatever, intertwined for hundreds of years. And then the Normans sort of changed history and everything went in another direction. And I'm telling you this right now because Northumberland was inundated with attacks from the Vikings for many years. And to this day, we still have people like Patrick, who who knows people who claim to see bear-like entities that do things. Okay, I don't mean just do things like they're like, I'm working on with an waffle iron. Hey, I'm doing things. No, I'm not. No, I'm talking about chasing people. People go missing in the forests, and I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious about that. And it doesn't shock me. It doesn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me these days. It's pretty hard to make me go, "Oh, wow, we didn't see that coming." No, I saw it. But I wonder about this because these were berserkers who revered the bear. The bear would have been one of their main symbols. Now, if you go to Normandy, that's the holding we were talking about in France, you have stories in that region of shapeshifters, of bears. People would see this one in particular on the beach. There was an area there. There was a lady who said that, and she was talking about World War II, and we were having this long conversation because she had a haunting going on. She lived in Normandy, and she could trace her ancestry. She was literally, which I have a smidgen of it, it's Huguenot, which is like a type of French nobility. And like I said, I have a little bit from I have like Scotch, Irish, and a little bit of French just on my dad's side. My dad's dad, whatever. But my dad's mother was Cossack. When you look at the people and what they are, it's really crazy. Like I have Cossack, and I have all this different mixture of blood, but they all are very sort of barbaric, warlike type people, which wasn't unusual, because those are the people that bred, the ones that were tough and aggressive, and they were the ones that passed on their genes. But me and her were talking, and it was all about a haunting, and it was a very disturbing story. She was telling me about this clock that she believed where something was coming out of it. It's a pretty creepy story, and it's about shadow people. But we got kind of off track, and she started talking about her grandfather, who was a veterinarian, and during World War II, he was already an elderly man, but he was down in the tunnels during the bombings when the Nazis were bombing the English back to the Stone Age, and they were down in the train system, and they had to go down underground. And the doctors were spread so thin, and so many of them were working on the soldiers that the civilians didn't have enough doctors. So him being a veterinarian, he had to go down and try to help the people from being whatever. And so the bombing ended up taking place nightly for a while there. And thank you for that donation, Artistic Bunny and waffles. Now everybody's saying I want waffles now. That sounds good, actually. But not going to do it. I'm trying to. I got to get some of this off of me, man. I'm just too fat right now. So what ends up happening? She starts talking about a story that her grandfather told her that people would see up until World War II. And it goes way back before World War I or anything like that. And that during the Franco-Prussian War, which he would have fought in, because like I said, he was a very elderly man by the time he would have been, like in his 80s or something like that, when the bombing was taking place, and he was a very elderly veterinarian. He wasn't a soldier. I think he was like a child or something, but he remembers the Franco-Prussian War and when they laid siege to Paris, and when the Prussians, they were leading an army of Germanic warriors. It wasn't just, or I say warriors, like an army, right? But it wasn't just the Prussians. The Prussians were the leaders. They were the ones that kind of set the tone for the rest of the German military until the Germans, to World War II, which the Nazi movement was very much a Bavarian, Southern German movement. Prior to that, it was an East German movement led by the Prussians. So the Prussians had control at that time, and they had kind of united a few of the German states. There was no real Germany. It was just, so the Franco-Prussian War was between them and France. But he described seeing this being that would walk along the beach like a bear. This is what he told her. And she said that this thing would be seen by multiple people, and that sometimes it would stand up and walk like a man, and then it would there's a lot of fog that's there, and it would walk into this fog that would just kind of appear, and then the next thing you know, it would walk back out of the fog, and it would be a man. Yeah, a man that looked like he was wearing a bear's skin on his back, a literal shape-shifting, like skinwalker type being. So she told me this story, and it was like not expected. It was just a story about a clock that she believed. Now, it's a crazy story. I got to get into it. But what she told us was that there was a clock that literally would stop time. And she believed, not for like long periods of time. Like, it wasn't like she's like, I don't want to go to school today, so let me go mess with the clock, and then I'm going to sleep for several hours, and no time will pass, and I'll be real well rested after I partied all night, and guess what? I'm going to pass the math test. No, that's not what happened. There was a clock, literally, that would stop, and when this clock would stop, time would stop. And she's like, I'm not joking. But it all took place in this really big house in Normandy, and she was saying that it overlooked the ocean, and it was a very beautiful place, and it was her great-grandfather's house originally. And it didn't get destroyed. It was spared the war. The Germans came in at one point, and they respected it. She said they thought it was a beautiful place, and they didn't destroy it, and then they moved on. The French army held it for a little while, and same thing with the British, and they just kind of left it alone. They didn't touch it. They didn't destroy it, and by the grace of God, it didn't get hammered into dust. and nobody bombed it. But she said that this house, she thinks that it was spiritually protected. But from the overlook where she was at, that her great grandfather claimed that he could see as this bear, and they believed that it was a holdover from when the Normans originally, they were Vikings from hundreds of years before, had conquered, and he was a very powerful berserker that was left behind. So that's just a legend that grew up that said, hey, maybe this is the reason for this. Now, there's another story out of Massachusetts that I read a long time ago, and I've gone over this story with David Weatherly, and I don't remember if it was Fate Magazine. I know that him and Ron Murphy are two of the people that I talked to about Fate Magazine, because both of us have read, or all three of us have read, a ton of stories out of there. Like I've read 170,000 stories from, whatever, out of Fate Magazine. And sometimes when I retell them, I'll do the best I can, because it was a long time ago. I've been reading it since I was young. And so sometimes I'll get someone's story mixed up with someone else, and I'll be like, hey, let me make sure I'm correct on this. But there was a story I read, and I've retold this on the show. There was a rash of what people called werewolf sightings in and around the beach area in New England. And then eventually they stopped. And then people began to see something akin to a transparent werewolf-like creature that would be seen walking along the beach, and then he would vanish. Now, here on the show, we've actually had people come on the show and talk about running full on into a spiritual werewolf-type being and just run right through it. And that is something that we just, we heard Joel Burgess say that this thing wasn't fully materialized. Like it was like it was, even though he thinks it's some sort of skinwalker-ish shapeshifter type thing, it still is not a flesh and blood, 100% flesh and blood being. It's something else, something akin to a ghost. You know what I mean? So you get these weird stories. Now, one of the stories that I got was from the border, right? And it was Northumberland, right there. And the person is from Newcastle, but that's not where this took place. And it was near the border. Like I said earlier, it was closer to another city, even not even in the same county. So in the county of Cumbria, and it would have been right there on the border of Northumberland and Cumbria, and then Scotland, kind of where they all meet. And these people claimed that they were driving their vehicle, and what looked like a large bear-like creature. Now, this was told to me by Patrick, who had told me two stories. One of the bear that actually went up in. Okay, now this is a former soldier. Another one that told me that these beings were actually being released. Okay, in the Scottish Highlands at one time, right? And people were seeing these creatures, and they said that there were military presence around. British military going up there and doing whatever. And then after they leave, people see weird stuff and they're like, what is this? Now there again, there's a lot of caves. There's a cave system there. There's a whole lot of caves. And this thing, this isn't a long story, but it is very compelling. This thing looked like a man standing on the side of the road, and it was kind of like a mist or a fog, whatever you want to call it. When they were driving through, it was 7 p.m. at night in the evening. Late summer, early fall type, in the September, and it wasn't dark yet, but it was, it was starting to get dark earlier. And as they're driving along, he starts to run out in front of their vehicle. When he gets into the middle of the road, they're like, oh crap. They're sitting there talking, not really paying attention, and they see it. And next thing you know, they think it's a man, like a tall, blonde-haired man. But then they realize, and he looks like he's wearing like a skin or something, a throw rug over his back. But then when they focus their attention, look straight ahead at him, this was in the peripheral. When they see him straight ahead, he looks like a bear, like a giant bear. And he's standing there in the middle of the freaking road. And they're like, oh, and so they brace for impact, and they end up running full on into this thing, and they see it go through their vehicle. Now, this isn't something new that we've heard here on the show before. We've talked to people who've had these encounters and have seen things like this and have even reported, taking their vehicles and running into phantom whatchamadoodles, whatever they are, So this is what's going on. You have this weird bear-like entity. Now, we know that in England, there are no wolves, there are no bears, there are no giant cats, but yet there are. In Wales, in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. Now, Ireland's not part of it's the British Isles. Technically, they'll call it that, but they're not really part of the British Isles. They're not really, which is just a slang term for the UK, United Kingdom. But you get it in all these isles, okay? Northern Ireland, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England, you get these weird stories where creatures appear that shouldn't exist. Now, if you don't believe me, go check out Truth Proof on Paul Sinclair's channel. Paul Sinclair has a lot of good work, and he's a very good friend of mine. And like I said, if you're from England and you win one of the giveaways, you'll probably be getting a book from him, or maybe Deborah Hatswell, another friend of ours, a friend of the show. But yeah, same thing. Somebody just says Australia too. No big cats yet. We have them here, right? Now, I'm going to have a story that I'm going to tell you. There was a guy, he was Arabic and Filipino, which is a very weird mix, but he actually traveled 250 miles into the interior of Australia because he was told by what he claims is an angel, and he went down into the inner earth. And he communed with beings that were quite similar to the ones that we talked about on yesterday's show, last night's show, and we'll be talking about it again next Tuesday. But he did something very, very weird, and he felt compelled to do that. And then he almost ended up as a permanent resident. So that's something we're going to talk about too. We're going to get into that. Tomorrow night is Thursday, and we were going to do Rumble. We don't know for sure. We've been kicking it around about kicking it off and making it do something besides just using it as a side platform to voice concerns over whatever's going on, because I don't want it on my show. I don't want it on the podcast, and I don't want it on this. And we're not going to talk about what's going on, because this is not the platform for that. This is the platform where we do work. Okay. We have to stay committed to that. We don't want any of this nonsense garbage that people are throwing at us. We don't want it. We don't want to deal with it. We're not going to do it here. This is where you come. And I apologize for Sunday. I wasn't feeling good, and I had a pincher in my upper back. And it's not nearly as bad today as it was. And I worked out last night, and it actually kind of stretched it out and made it feel a lot better, right? So that I wasn't feeling good at all on Thursday. I was doing very bad. And I told the story of Isaiah. Now, here's what happened. I will give you a little backstory. Isaiah was not too happy with the way I told the story. He seemed to be kind of like he wasn't upset with me about the way I told his story. He just kind of laughed about that, but he thought maybe I thought he was stupid. So I want to publicly and personally apologize to you, Isaiah. I know sometimes I can be a little abrasive or gruff. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people don't like me. They think I'm too bitter. Okay. But I was not trying to mock you or make fun of you. I do think you were making a lot of bad choices. I think you were making some bad decisions. Now, that being said, he had the spirit of pioneer spirit, that made America rugged individualism, whatever you want to call it. And so he pushed on because he really believed that he was going to find something hidden, forbidden, something or another, maybe some treasure, something that would show, hey, I did this. And he's kind of opened up to me and told me that he thought that maybe, he was not, lack of a better term, like he didn't accomplish anything in his life. He's not done anything in his life. This is what I told him. I said, look, man, the only people that really accomplished anything at a young age were very, very rare people. Alexander the Great comes to mind, right? In fact, when Julius Caesar was 30 years old, he stood at the foot of Alexander's statue and he wept because he was like, I'm 30 years old and I've done nothing. Eventually he would conquer Gaul, and then eventually he would become emperor of like a third of the known world. But at that time, he just felt like he had not done anything with himself. And you can't look at Jesus Christ or in a lesser degree, someone like Alexander or Genghis Khan and be like, I haven't conquered Asia. I wasn't the Messiah or Savior of the world. I didn't conquer, most of the planet at that time. No, you're not that person. None of us are. None of us are. We are all just simple people. We're sinners. We're not good by our nature. We have to struggle against it constantly to be better and be good people. So what I want to say to you, Isaiah, is you did what you did, but it made for a very compelling story. And I appreciate you coming to Paranormal Roundtable and giving us that story. And I also want to say that he wondered if I doubted him, if I didn't believe him. I said, dude, your story is your story. It's not mine. I can't, I did make one mistake I messed up on something. He wanted to point out that the guy that was running alongside of his vehicle, who was wearing like sort of a loincloth type thing or whatever, which he said looked like a white and blue skirt. He was carrying a scythe-like sword. I know what that is. It's called a khopesh. And I said, okay, I forgot to mention that. I remember being in my mind, but I didn't mention it. So he was running alongside him, but he said he did not look like he was coming towards his vehicle. It's like he was on a mission and he burned off to the right. Well, that's good news right there. But anyway, he said he burned off to the right and this person took off into the woods, right? So it was something that happened to this individual, this man, Isaiah. And I told him, I said, dude, just because you have not conquered the world at your young age doesn't make you not a special person. Okay. And it doesn't mean that you don't have great things in your future. Right. And I don't think you're crazy. I think you went into an area that is known for a high strangeness and you encountered a lot of weird stuff. That happens, man. It happens to people. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Hermano, brother Hector says, blessings, everyone. I'm okay and cured of cancer. Thanks to all the prayers and the PRT fam, Nelly and Josh and everyone I forgot to mention. That's awesome. That's a very good thing. God bless you, and may God be praised for lifting you up and making you cancer free. And Lolo says, I have much respect for Isaiah. He didn't give up. Most people in the situation would have sat down and waited for the helicopter to come and save him. He's tough. Yes. And I told him that too. Although I did chastise him because I was like, look, if you were my son, I would have spanked you. I'm sorry. I would have just been like, dude, what are you doing? Don't do that again. Okay. Because I've had to deal with that before. I've had to deal with people that I really care about doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Because you're taking years off my life. People messaging me about this. I don't, I'm so tired of this. Everything's fine in my life. Okay. I mean, you can't please everybody. We're not going to talk about anything like that, but hey, I'm good. Do you see me worried? Like Mad TV, what, me worry? No, I'm not. I'm good. Okay. Let whatever comes come. All right. I believe this. If it's God's will, it's God's will. Everybody, has their own issues. So if there's any questions, anybody has anything to ask, you want to throw out some questions or maybe get some confirmation about anything or whatever you need, just hit me up right here and put it all in caps and we can talk about it before I leave. I still got a few minutes here. Somebody says here, congratulations, Brother Head. God's many blessings on you, and thank you. Thank you, God, for your many blessings and answering prayers. That's right. Danita Whitson says, next guest. That's a good question. I got about 50 of them. I'm trying to let people come on and tell their stories because I just can't get to everybody's story. There's just too much, and it has slowed down a little bit in the last 2 weeks. We're not getting nearly as many as we were, but I think that's because people are now saying, you know what? Well, I know a few people I've talked to have actually said, you know what? I'm going to try and get it in on the Saturday show. But people really try to get in on the Saturday show, and we end up with 2 rows in the queue. Literally, like 10 people trying to get in every episode. It's crazy. So, and then you try to get to everybody that you can, but don't stop trying. You know, and here's the thing too: if you get into the queue and you're not being brought up immediately, just sit there and chill, man. I mean, it's not a big deal. You're listening to the show anyway, and you might as well be waiting your turn. I mean, and just listening to the show and enjoying it while you're waiting your turn. Some people drop out, I guess, because they think, well, he's not going to get to me, and they leave. And I don't like that. I don't want people to do that because we will eventually try to get to you. We can't please everybody, but we'll do our best, you know. And Lolo says, may have to start scheduling people. Yeah, I did. I scheduled this guy for Monday. He wasn't supposed to be on tonight. He was supposed to be on Monday. But what ended up happening Monday was I couldn't get a hold of him because he did not have my this messenger Facebook. He was on that the page, which I don't check very often, and I couldn't figure out how to get into the freaking what's it called? Oh my gosh, the messenger, which I still don't. I don't know. There's no way to. I don't know how he did it. He managed to go into the matrix somehow and put a message on there that I saw a notification for, but I couldn't read it. And so even Anthony and Nellie, we couldn't figure out how to get into it. So I don't know what was going on with that. That's weird. And then when we sent him the link today, he was having a hard time. He kept saying that he was there, he was showing up there, but we weren't seeing him in the queue. So that was weird. He wasn't in the queue at all. When you're not in the queue, it means you're not there. Danita Whitson says, I really think your management of all this, doing it very well. Doing the best I can. Wendy Eater has a question. Says, what did he mean by wild camping? I guess going out into the wild and not just and not being around anything, like there's nothing that can help you. You're just out there. You know what I mean? So Brother Hex says here, I saw a white spider disappeared in the mist when I woke up. Have you ever heard of that? No. I don't know what that would be. Medical nanobots. Oh, that's a whole nother. Okay, so I got a guy that might be a good guest. I've talked to him a couple times, and now I couldn't let him come on YouTube. It's not Facebook. YouTube is not gonna no. But Rumble, he could probably come on and talk about some very interesting things. So maybe we'll do that. We'll schedule him to come on. There again, another guy with a very thick accent, okay, because he's Polish, but he could probably shed some light on, he's real big into the nanotechnology thing, and we've talked about these. And this is one thing that he said, which was very weird, and he talked about these nanobots that actually they mimic spiders. It's a whole weird thing, dude. I could, he's better at let him explaining it or whatever. Donnie Cho says stuff. What are you saying now, Donnie Cho? He says, howdy, y'alls. We know you say stuff, and then we never know what you're going to say. And so thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight, whatever, and whatever. We're probably going to make it a regular thing. Not trying to step on anybody's toes Monday through Friday, but we're probably going to be on Monday. For get some of these interviews done. We may or may not be on Wednesdays, depending on what we get done on Monday. So Wednesday's not going to be a set in stone permanent thing, whatever. Tuesday definitely will be on Tuesday. We're going to drop our hour-long episode. And then we got Thursday. We're going to do Rumble. Probably going to be doing Rumble. And then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Friday. For now, anyway, it's still a go that we're going to do the live stream. Friday, we're going to do what we usually do with our friends. We go around the horn and we do what we do. And then Saturday, we're going to have a show. Bless you. I heard Anthony sneeze from the next room. Saturday, we're going to have the show where we do the call-ins, and people can get their stories in who've been trying to email me and reach me and whatever. We just have a lot of people trying to get through. It's getting like I said, it was getting really backed up, but we started knocking some of them out and putting a dent in some of it. And then Sunday, we just retell people's encounters, and we do what we do. Don't forget this coming Tuesday, next Tuesday, because everybody's asking, the continuation of the story. I don't even know what Anthony named it. What did you name this last Tuesday one? Can't remember what he named it. Can't remember what he named it. Living in the Devil's Playground, in the midst of witches, a survivor's story. Yes, and this guy, Jeff, was definitely a survivor of what he went through. It is pretty rough. It doesn't get any easier next Tuesday, but he does get out of it. And so you will hear how he did what he did and how he got out of it. There's a lot going on right now, and a lot of people are talking now about werewolves, vampires, and covens, and people are starting to speak up about these cults because they're real. This is really happening. If you're not talking about this, then you better be talking about something pertinent, because there's a lot of stuff going on, man. I don't know why I have Donnie Cho on there, but yeah. I agree with you. Our father's child says repetition is the rudiments of ceremony and ritual. Digital things are not our friends. Not real big on rituals, dude. Let's see. Just reading some of the comments here. Yeah, it's funny. Michelle Moore, you made a pretty good comment there. She's replicators like off Stargate SG-1. I've never seen it. Is another nanobot capability. But nanobots, I understand. Not just get rid of cancer cells. People don't realize that a lot of these shows, like there was like Babylon, I don't know the number. Was it Babylon 5 or something like that? There was all these different shows. I've seen 1 or 2 episodes of these shows. I've never seen Stargate. I've heard about it. I know what it is. I've seen like an episode of Doctor Who where they were moving around, and I haven't really seen a lot of these science fiction shows or these fiction shows, but I know what the premises are, and I've checked them out just so I can cover the basis of kind of what's going on. It just seems like soft disclosure to me. It really does. It seems like it's just soft disclosure. It's like people are like, they're just like, okay, this is what's happening. And the powers that be, these people that are in charge of stuff, okay, they're not good people. And they do bad things. I mean, let's just be honest. Anything that we could possibly be doing it's nothing compared to what they do, okay? Unless you're out there doing horrible, evil sacrifices on people. Or I should say of people, whatever. You're not on that level. And I would suspect most people, barring a serial killer, would even be close to anything that these people are capable of. Because if you think that they don't want to wipe us out, you're crazy. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. I can't talk about it here. I'd have to go to Rumble to talk about it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Wow. Bubberino says TMZ is reporting supernatural stuff now is beginning to trickle out. Mm-hmm. Ace Banner says Andromeda was a good show. I've never signed a Firefly. I loved Firefly. My wife even named our old car Serenity. We were sad to give it up about a month ago, and she was 3 weeks, whatever it was, and she's been sort of mourning. She really liked that car a lot, but I like my truck better. No offense to you, my lovely, beautiful wife. I love you, but we have a much better deal with what we got now. But yeah, it still hurts, especially when people are attached to certain vehicles, whatever. That's a crazy number if that's true. Sage Cooley says over 450 serial killers are roaming nations highways. is being reported by the feds. I think they're everywhere. I think they're everywhere. There used to be a song right now, whatever, Van Halen, and they had the music video, and it says one of the things they said was right now, every major city there is such and such serial killers doing, and it always stuck with me. I'm like, dude, think about that. They're out there doing what they do, just inside their twisted heads, their minds, doing what they do, I saw that. I think that's the same show. I think I saw True Detectives. Yeah, Firefly was one of the best. Firefly was good. That was a damn good show. They don't make them like that anymore. They don't make those kind of good shows like that anymore. But whatever. Anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thank you, and I will see you tomorrow on Rumble. And good night. Oh, Rumble, what time? Balonza Booze comes on at what time do they come on? I think they come on at 8 o'clock tomorrow. So we will probably be on about 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So if you're into being a night owl, you want a late night talk about stuff or whatever. No doubt about that, Wendy. That's damn for sure. That is for sure. Yep, Artistic Bunny. I only watched the first 3 seasons, so we have something in common. And I actually have been out to Dean's bar. It's not too far out there. It's actually close to it's not far. You know what I mean? It's it's not like it's a long trip. But all right, guys, I'll see you. Thank you and good night. Oh, and to everybody who donated too: Tennessee Ridge Runners, Sugar Britches, Amy Creel, DCG, Artistic Bunny. Thank you, Spilling Tea, for your membership. Everybody, folks, guys, gals, go out there and get your membership because we will be giving away merchandise every Sunday. We will be giving away merchandise. So get your membership, okay? And thank you for everybody who donated. We appreciate it. We love you. Thank you. God bless. Good night.